All right, welcome to the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. 49ers win in Seattle. That's right. The Niners get it done in Seattle. We got our post-game show. Rise in the house. Kev's in the house. JD may join us. Could be a cast of thousands. Who knows? But join us right now. It's the Krug Show, and it's next. And we're out. And we get a rolling on the Krug Show after the Niners beat the Seahawks 36-24 in Seattle. The Niners had to have this one. Nobody wanted to call it a must-win, but it was a must-win. And the Niners got the win. Big victory on the road. No shortage of things to talk about. Unbelievable game where you really do have a ton of things to talk about. And we're going to get into all of it. But first, let's thank our sponsors. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon. Go say hi to Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. My friend Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. And Better. Let's not forget Better. This live stream is sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. We almost won this week, but we did not because JP Mason could not get it done. But download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners, Niners, to get that first deposit matched up to $200. All right, we're off and running on the Krug Show. What a game, guys. You know, just for me right out of the chute, I mean, a couple things. I mean, JP Mason looked amazing in this game, and then he got hurt with the shoulder. And then it looked like the Niners maybe didn't have a real running back too. But then Guerendo comes through late with a long run. Taylor looked pretty good. Niners ran for 225 yards. They were +3 in turnovers. Malik Mustafa, the young DBs really balled out. Malik Mustafa had a big hit early. He had an interception. He left the game, though, with an ankle injury. Darrell Luter had a forced fumble. Renardo Green, I told people on Twitter this afternoon, I said, Renardo Green is going to step up. This kid is so serious and so all about ball. And sure enough, I knew the moment wouldn't be too big. You play at Florida State, you play against some great opponents. He came through with what I think was the biggest play of the game, the interception in the second half. Niners looked like we're going to cough up a 20-point lead. They were up 23-3, and it looked like they were going to blow it. Once again, the special teams was a freaking nightmare. LaVisca Chenault, 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Jacob Cowing is a great kid, but he looks very shaky as a punt returner. The red zone issues continue to rear their ugly head. The Niners may have to look for another kicker after Matthew Wright had a great day, but then hurt his shoulder. Debo answered the bell, and then we even had a bad call that could have
unbelievable
the game, and then they come back and tell us that the booth in New York didn't actually have the replays that were available that showed definitively that it hit off a Seattle player, and so the Niners lost a crucial turnover there.
Yeah, the NFL is not making enough money to get updated equipment.
Yeah, so I mean that they withstand that. The Niners were +3 in turnovers. Fred Warner popped out his fourth forced fumble. Isaac Guerendo with a 76-yard run. Guys, it was a great win for the Niners. Give me your takeaways.
You know what I'm pissed off about?
What are you pissed off about, Dan?
Well, besides just the special teams with the touchdown, but even before he hurt his shoulder on that tackle, I'm saying to myself, they got to get another kicker that can kick the ball through the end zone because they certainly can't cover.
It was a weak kick. Yeah.
That's the guy. Look, I'm 63. I could probably get it to the 20-yard line still. Okay.
This is the part of the show, by the way, that is brought to you by Better. The Better video. This live stream sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. And this part of the show where Dan talks as if he could be an NFL field goal kicker if things just broke right is brought to you by our good friends at Better.
I love that weekly segment. It's the best.
It's the best. Where Danny critiques kickers from around the league. Next week, Roberto Aguayo, or give me a kicker. Somebody got a kicker. Give me a kicker.
Rodrigo
Blankenship.
Blankenship. Danny will be critiquing you next week.
Yeah.
No,
there's
that's
gotta be,
for
there's
next
got to
week.
be a kicker out there that can kick it through the end zone. Come on, and
Seriously.
still make field goals inside the 50. Okay.
Army-
What's
like,
what's
can Mitch
Suckup's
not?
first name? What's Suckup's first name?
Ryan.
I'd like to see Ryan. I'd like to see a breakdown on Ryan Suckup by next week, Danny.
Okay, you got it.
Anyway, but yeah, the special teams. I mean, I hate to say it because they won the game, but I mean, if I'm Brian Schneider, man, I may be checking on the status of my lease in Santa Clara, just exactly seeing are there any outs. I mean, is it something maybe that if there was like the power went out a couple times, maybe there's something in the fine print that says he can get out because I mean he may need to be getting out of his lease.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like that touch. I mean, the last play of the game could have gone. Like that could have broken. Like the whole defense was on the left-hand side.
Oh, you're right.
He was about to break that. And if it
You mean
wasn't
the 97-yard kickoff return wasn't enough?
I know they could have gone for 2. The game was practically over, but I mean that has to be addressed. Like this is becoming. It's not just becoming a one-off situation. It's becoming a weekly thing for the Niners.
It's bad. It's bad. Everybody hit like and subscribe. By the way, if you hit like, more people will find the algorithm, or more people find the show inside the algorithm. If you hit subscribe, click that notification bell. Every time we go live, you'll get notified, and you can be here every time. Welcome to the Krug Show. By the way, that's Dan Coach Emilio. That's Ryan Smith. That's Kev Kruger up there. JD will join us probably in a bit. At some point, Damon will jump in as well, I'm sure. And even Nicotina, I think we may throw an invite to Nicotina because I know Nicotina wants in. This game though, it's just, there's so many angles on this thing. I just felt, I don't know about you guys, I was getting just the crazy deja vu. Like here we go again.
Right.
They settled for 3 field goals in the first half, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know what, this game, even though they settled for the field goals and they're having red zone problems, no big deal because the game's in hand. Oh, wait a second. 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, quick score, like the only way Seattle could get back in it. And sure enough, there it is. And it's like, I just kind of felt like, wow, we're going to see this game slip away again. If the Niners had lost this game after being up 20 with the Chiefs on deck, I think that's it for the year. Even though mathematically it wouldn't be done, they'd be emotionally just absolutely done. Do you guys agree, or do you think that I'm overstating it?
Yeah, I think they could be done if they blew this game tonight.
I don't think they could be. I don't think they would be done just because they have the Chiefs coming up. Now, if they lose to the Chiefs, it's over. But if they lost this game and then rallied back and beat the Chiefs,
yeah,
everyone would convince themselves that the ship's been righted.
No, but you're right. Like I had that exact same feeling. Like coming out of the half, they score a touchdown, a 70-yard drive, and you're up 23-3. You kick the ball to them. They get a touchdown on a kickoff, which is just the biggest plus minus like play you could possibly have. Just immediate like that touchdown. Then
the crowd was dead.
They punt it back to you. They punt it back to you. You do a 3 and out. You give the ball back to them. 13-play touchdown drive, and it's all of a sudden it's a ball game, and it's just like that. 2 drives later, and the game's like you're about to lose the game. Like all the momentum went in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you woke up the 12th man. You neutralized the 12th man when you came out and scored that second half touchdown, and all of a sudden it's like game on. And the thing that, I mean, there's a lot of positives tonight. I'm sure we'll be talking about that. Renardo Green to me is a guy that is, to me, looks like the 49ers best cover man in years with speed. He's a true cornerback. True cover
second round
corner.
pick, by the way, second round pick out of Florida State.
I like this kid, and I like obviously Lenore, and we finally got to see something from Guerendo. Broke that.
Guerendo was averaging 2.5 a carry on the first 9 carries, but the 10th carry went for 76 yards.
Yeah, I still think we know exactly what Guerendo is. Like nothing's changed on
Yeah.
Guerendo. Like he's not gonna run. He doesn't really have the feel for it. But if he breaks it, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I tweeted out that he's like the Trey Lance of running backs. Like he's got all this tantalizing skills, but he has 0 game experience, 0
Right.
feel.
He doesn't look like he has a feel.
You know, if it's all blocked and everything's absolutely perfect, he can hit a home run. Something that was not talked about enough is the fact that he is 4 years older than Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen started ahead of him for 2 years at Wisconsin.
Who's
and then
the Jets now, the rookie. Yeah.
Yes, and he's awesome. I think he might be better than Breece Hall.
Yeah,
and then the
he's terrific.
49ers drafted Isaac Guerendo, 4 years older, back up to Braylon Allen, ahead of Braylon Allen.
Yeah, what was that about?
Well, and it's funny about that because my good friend Tony Pauline, who's a former NFL scout, kind of put out a report, or not kind of did put out a report that the Niners had interest in Guerendo. I think they even said, I think he even quoted what round. I think he said, like, if he's there in the 4th round, they want him, or 3rd round. And then the thing that made you know that it was a legit report is the next day he took it down and he's like, no, I didn't hear that. Well, excuse me, yesterday you said you did.
It wasn't the next day. It was like within an hour. It was like within a few minutes.
Yeah, but he took it down. It was like, like obviously somebody said, hey man, we do like him. Could you not put our stuff out there? So he took it back, and obviously they liked him, and he doesn't have great running back instincts. But I'll tell you, the more I watch him, the more I think, maybe there could be some Ricky Waters there. Now, Ricky Waters was a wide receiver at Notre Dame, and then they switched him to running back, and he always had those elite running back, or the elite receiving skills for the running back position, and that's what kind of separated him. Guerendo doesn't have like the instincts to kind of pick and slide and slither through a hole. He'll get better over time, but dude, what he has also cannot be is not taught. You're talking about 220 pounds who runs 4.33. I mean, he's a legit, when he hit the edge there, I mean, I only think they caught him from behind because he kind of either got gassed or he kind of wanted to get caught from behind.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he started slowing down at the end.
He might have slowed down for the clock.
Yeah, because he started sliding too, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, it was great to see. And, if he could be a change of pace guy, heck, you know what? You're getting tired in the second half of a game and you throw it on a little hitch to this guy or a little screen to this guy. And he makes one guy miss and he gets on a pretty fast
I don't know about
surface
the Ricky Waters, though. I see a little more Jared Hayne than Ricky Waters.
Well, I mean, Jared Hayne, I don't see Jared Hayne at all. I mean, Jared Hayne didn't have this kind of speed. Jared Hayne
just didn't have any instincts about football.
He had no instincts. But I mean,
Ricky Waters,
I understand what you're saying. I mean, you're right in that they're both very raw, very, very raw. But this guy is way faster than Jared Hayne. I don't know. You have to look at Jared Hayne's 40.
Ricky Waters. I think that's an insult.
He has potential, though. I will say, when I was at the Rams game in person, seeing him run, like, kind of just, he's such a battering ram. I don't know. It looked a little different in person. Like, he really, even though he was kind of like running straight into guys, like, it just looked more explosive. I could see, I mean, they definitely want that home run aspect in their offense from the running back position, because they used to do that all the time. That used to be like their big play thing, was like Mostert would break one. I just still don't feel like it was talked about enough, though, that, like, why the hell would you draft a 4-year older backup to Braylon Allen?
Like Braylon size and speed. I mean,
Braylon Allen's 6'1", 235.
No, I know. No, I'm with you, man. I love Braylon Allen. I'm with you, and I don't understand taking running backs that don't have running back instincts, but they really like this kid for sure. And man, you saw it in space. If you can get him in space, that's really what it's about. And it's really, to me, it's all, if he can hold on to the football, and you can utilize him.
Don't fumble the ball if you give it to Guerendo there at the.
I was worried about the fumble on. I'm always a little worried on Guerendo on the fumbles.
And then he busted for 77 right there. I'm thinking, oh gosh, don't fumble, because it.
But it was a great day for the kids. It was a great day for the young guys. Guerendo was great.
It had that feel of like, oh, they're gonna blow this game, But yeah, the kids. Hey, play the kids. I mean, look what Mustafa, interception, Green, interception. And then
Mustafa
you see
left the game with an
Guerendo.
ankle injury and never came
Hopefully,
back.
did they say if it was a high ankle or just a low? Hopefully it's not a high, or he's.
Oh, you know what? That was something else in related to the running back discussion. Like, I think Mason's going to be out for a bit. Dr. Chow, I'm sure you guys have
shoulder.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen Dr. Chow. He's like the original like sports Twitter injury guy. He was like the Chargers injury dude he was the guy before the guy that stabbed Tyrod Taylor in the chest. So he's good.
Okay.
And he's like, I swear to God, he's like 95% on these things. And like his initial prognosis was like really bad, and said like, it's probably not as bad as the Hollywood Brown thing, but he thought it was like an AC sprain and that he's going to be out of it. And it was JP Mason. And then with JP Mason, it was interesting because it was like, wow, you don't really see Chow wrong that often. And then all of a sudden they put him in one play and he's back out. So,
well, I mean, that is the issue. It's like you have this guy, you're running him hard. Now they only gave him 14 carries the other day, so they're kind of inconsistent with it. Sometimes they run him hard, sometimes they kind of ease off. I think they eased off because this game was only 4 days later, but they don't really have. I asked Kyle, who's your running back too? He said Guerendo. So maybe it's Guerendo time. And if not, maybe it's Guerendo and Patrick Taylor. I will say this. I did an interview the other day that you can see on my YouTube page with Keyshawn Vaughn. And really, Keyshawn Vaughn has more experience than those guys. And so he's ready to roll. He's ready to roll. And he feels like he's when he gets his opportunity, he's gonna hit it out of the park. So I'm not saying Keyshawn Vaughn's got the explosive nature of Guerendo. He doesn't. But he definitely has more experience, and he has more, a little bit more tackle breaking ability, a little bit more natural vision. So I could see them promoting him. And then there's a lot of guys on the street. I mean, there are an awful lot of running backs out there. If you want one, you can trade for one pretty easily. If you want big Leonard Fournette, he's out there. I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there, really. Breida, if you like Breida.
Did the doc say anything about recovery time for if it's an AC joint?
No, he said it's probably not going to be like Hollywood Brown level, but I think he was just thinking, he's out for the game. Probably
if he has to miss, let's say he has to miss the Chiefs game and Dallas, then you got the bye. Probably only get away with if it's two games. Hopefully, I thought it was a stinger when it was what I first thought it was, a stinger in the shoulder, and it looked like he was trying to work it out. But you might be right. The fact that he played one play and then he went out and didn't return makes me think he was in a lot of pain.
All these games, it's funny. I mean, you roll these guys, back onto the plane and then back in the facility and take inventory, and there's always more injuries than you know about. Guys, sometimes there's adrenaline, they play through it. I got to think that Matthew Wright shoulders. I mean, I interviewed him yesterday. Let's just say this. I mean, I'm bigger than he is. I mean, he looks like a really skinny, stockbroker or something. You know what I mean? He doesn't look at all like a football player. And the fact is, he just made a tackle and led with his shoulder, and he looked like he was in a ton of pain afterwards.
He got blown up. I mean,
so they may need another kicker.
Think about it. The guy was basically not working out with any kind of sport, and he's sitting at home. He gets a call, and he's got to make a saving tackle with his shoulder.
But I mean, isn't this an example also why you don't invest a day 2 pick and a kicker? Because you can sign Matthew Wright, and I could read to you his numbers. I mean, Kev has him in front of him as well. I mean, the guy was like 86% or something like that in his career. He's only missed like 2 PATs ever. I mean, it's like when you can get that guy off the street in week 6, it makes you want to, I don't know, draft like a linebacker in the 3rd round,
Yeah. And it's not even Matthew Wright. It's Brandon Aubrey, who's hitting 65 yarders at ease for the Dallas Cowboys. He's an undrafted free agent. So it's like that. You're muted, Rye.
I kind of blame Kyle a little bit, and definitely the special teams coordinator. How is that not a point of emphasis? Like, that already should have been before the Jake Moody injury. He should have known. You do not risk your, the kicker
run out of bounds.
Valuable. Run out of bounds. Yeah. Like, who cares?
Hey,
if they run it back, they run it back.
Yeah. What do you think of this? This is kind of crazy, but how they've already changed the kickoff rule, right? And kickers somewhat valuable to a team. What if they had a guy, sometimes when the wind blows and they let the guy go out and hold it and then he has to run off the field, why not just let a guy be that guy by the kicker, the safety, kicker runs off the field. So you're not getting kickers in situations where they got to have a tackle a guy.
All right. We're muting Danny for 1 minute. Changing rules. Anytime you change the rule, if inside of the first half hour of the post-game show, you're changing NFL rules, you get 2 minutes in the penalty box. Danny will be muted. Danny, try to talk. See, he can't talk. He can't talk. Right now, he could be saying, hire Farhan, and we wouldn't hear it. He could be saying anything, and we couldn't hear it. Let's go to the chat to see how the chat thought about that comment. Wait a second. Here we go. Here's one. Charles T. That was dumb, Dan. Yeah, there you go. Bring It says, mute Dan. D's, there's always somebody who goes a little too far and get Dan off the show.
No.
Dan's agent has signed a lucrative multi-year deal for Dan to be here on this show.
Dan has the same agent as Hassan Reddick, and he just let it go as well.
We could trade Dan to the Jets, but I'm holding out for a 5th-round pick. And so far, I'm only getting 6th-round picks, and Danny has more potential than that. All right? I'll just leave it at that. Dan, that's enough. Come on back.
My whole thinking was,
Dan, how do you feel about the comment that you made? I'll be like one of those debate moderators. You made a mistake 15 years ago. Would you like to apologize now?
Yeah, I'll stick by it. And the reason is they already changed the stupid rule to what it is now. I mean, so if you're going to change it and make it you want to play where it's returns.
Jubal says trade Dan for Reddick. Straight up. Reddick's not even in shape right now. Danny's in great shape. And Danny could be our backup kicker. And with the Wright injury, we may need a backup kicker. So there you go.
Yeah, me. Right.
Guys, what would you say about the red zone? Because the red zone has been a problem. And it's funny. Kev put out some stats this week that I thought were pretty interesting, or maybe not, maybe it was somebody else, but somebody had the Niners number, not just in the red zone. We've been looking at those red zone numbers and they're really bad, right? But it's worse than that. Here it is. It's the Niners red zone conversion rate last year, 67%. This year coming into today, 41%. It was 29th. But the one that even shows their problems even more, or illustrates it more, is that in goal to go situations inside the 10, last year they converted 83%. It was 4th best in the league. This year they're at 50% coming into today. That's 31st, and they went 0 for 3 in the red zone today. Shanahan was asked about it. They went 1 for 6 in the red zone last week against Arizona. He was asked about it. He said, hey, we need to run the ball better in the low red zone. What do you guys make of the struggles in the red zone? Is it Kyle related, Brock related? Is it play calling? Is it personnel? What do you guys think? It's obviously a problem.
I think it's the receivers not separating. I don't think they have receivers that are, that make great moves except Ayuk. I think the rest of their guys aren't great route runners.
Kev, Wright, what do you guys think?
Yeah, when you saw, I know some people wanted them to use Mason more as a pass catcher, which is fine for little dump offs here and there. But he can't run routes. They tried to throw that little angle route to him. If that's McCaffrey, that's 100% a touchdown. And I do think, and you can fault Kyle for this, but Kyle's the kind of guy that he probably did build a majority of his red zone offense and game plan around having McCaffrey. He's not really a guy for contingencies. It's the same way how he will run McCaffrey. He has McCaffrey on the field every single play of the game if he can, because he just thinks one play at a time, whatever. So I think that's part of it. Kittle clearly can get a little bit of separation. Debo's a disaster. They need to run more screen passes and stuff to him. I just don't understand how I watch Kansas City and supposedly they have these dog crap receivers, and it's Mahomes didn't throw into a single tight window this past week, and it's just Juju Smith-Schuster wide open, Xavier Worthy running into the end zone for a touchdown in the red zone. It's quite annoying.
That's a butthead just said what I was going to say. Maybe when Pearsall comes back, you put him in the place of Debo. Debo is not a good route runner. And when you're within 10 yards, he's kind of, I don't know, he just runs. It feels like he's
He doesn't have
wide-bodied.
great agility. I think
Yeah,
I know
the agility. Yeah,
he's not quick. I mean, you need quickness. I mean, I asked Kyle about it, and I said, "Do you need quickness? Is it about moving people? Is it about play calls?" Pearsall is going to practice this week. That came out during the game today that he is going to come back to practice this week. He could be activated for the Kansas City game. They didn't want to activate him this week because they want to take a look at him in practice to make a determination, and they didn't practice this week. They only did walkthroughs, so that's why he didn't get the designation last week, but he will get it this week. Will you put him in there for Debo? Debo might be hurt. I mean, Debo took a bunch of hits in this game. My God, Debo looked at times just in total pain. He had blood on his uniform pants. He looked like he took a number of big time hits. So I bet you Debo will not be feeling real good. Now they get extra time to rest up for Kansas City, but Pearsall returns. I will say this, that, the one disappointing thing outside of the long return for a touchdown on special teams was the fact that Cowing, to me, guys, looks very, very shaky. He slipped down twice. He just doesn't look reliable right now. He doesn't look sure-handed. He doesn't look confident in his footing.
You think it had anything to do with his cleats because he slipped?
I don't know. He couldn't keep his feet. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he fumbled a couple weeks ago too, right? I mean, I think he recovered.
He muffed one badly.
He muffed it
in Minnesota. Kev, what were you going to say?
I was going to say this is just another example. Special teams is it's not even a question mark. It's like a down arrow. It's providing negative plays, scary plays every week consistently. Like I don't know what you can even do there. I mean, what are you going to do? You put Kyle Juszczyk back there? I mean, that's what they did, I think, last week because they just didn't want someone to drop it. I'm not sure what the answer is there.
I don't know what the answer is either. Let's hit a couple starred chats here. Carson Taylor says, huge game for the rookies. No question about that. Stephen C. Wild, how the review team in New York said they didn't have the same camera angles as the announcers. What the F is the purpose of sending it to New York for review? I mean, exactly. What is it doing there?
Does Bezos have those trademarked? Like, you got to pay extra for those?
I mean, it's wild. That is wild.
Yeah, that's a huge hit of credibility for the league. I mean, how do you?
I'll be right back. I got to check one thing.
How do you do that? Like, how do you protect? I was under the impression that they had more camera angles.
For sure. Yeah, they're like the game feed.
You would think
told us, and like the fact that there's an angle that exists that we can see and they can't see. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's
crazy. Also, like, I kind of feel like they should offer that like all 22 view for all games. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the game on that, but it's an absolute delight. Like, you just see everything that's happening.
Oh, really? They have a separate feed for that?
Yeah, Prime does. They have, like, if you watch like the next gen, whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the all 22, like live in real time.
Were you watching that live? Is there announcers?
Yeah. You still the same announcers. It's just a different angle, all 22 angle. And they still like cut in for some of the stuff, but it's pretty sweet. There's also like they just like give you some pretty good facts. Like at one point, it was like Brock Purdy was 9 for 10 when throwing into zone coverage, and he was 0 for 4 throwing into man. And the guy, the nerd that just like kind of jumps in every once in a while and tells you stuff, was saying the receivers aren't separating versus man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did he have a metric for that, or was it just like a?
He didn't show any metric. The metric was just they did show a few plays, but the metric was basically that
like the eye test.
They were 0 for 4 on those plays. Yeah, there was a couple times when Purdy like did. I don't know, because sometimes if I'm not watching that all 22, of course, like I'm just watching the regular broadcast, I can't really tell, like, is Purdy being super extra right now with all of this like rolling out and biding time, and like is there a purpose to this? Was there an on-time throw that he just didn't hit because he wants to be Russell Wilson? But for the most part, I felt like watching those, nobody was open.
Yeah.
What do you think this is, Wright, Kev? Because last year we didn't see Purdy do this often. Not like he's doing it 5-6 times a game, running around, scrambling, looking for guys. And last year there seemed to be a lot more precision, a lot more timing routes. Guys were getting, open. I don't know if it has anything to do with Ayuk holding out and there's no cohesiveness between the receiving room or what, because Ayuk seems to, he had a good game last week. He wasn't heard from too much tonight. What did he have? A couple catches, but nothing spectacular.
He had one big one. There's some
Yeah.
guys in the comments that are saying like, we lost a man coverage in the Super Bowl, like 100%. Yeah, that's a little scary. Kansas City next week. And I was thinking, you don't see as much of the like play action boot stuff that we were used to with like Jimmy G in the offense. But like one of the things that was playing in my mind is like, are they just gearing up? So like when they play Kansas City, Kansas City,
like everything in the book.
Yeah, they're sending the entire house at you. And there's nothing more frustrating than when it's like you're doing the play action. You can't even, before you can even turn around and get your eyes down the field, like you're just getting mauled. And Spags is just sending the heat.
How about the Niner defense? Speaking of being, everybody, the pressure. They got a lot of pressure tonight from Bosa, but didn't get a sack until the last play of the game, basically.
I was going to say that, yeah.
And what is did you see a blitz tonight? I didn't see one.
I have a theory on this. Hear me out. I have a theory on this. I don't know. They're getting a ton of pressures. I think Bosa had 14 pressures, like the most in his career. No sacks. I think, like, how they say, like, oh, that's a coverage sack? Like, I think that's like the opposite of that. Like, the opposite of that's happening. Like, it's the reverse of a coverage sack. Like, they're just open. Like, receivers are open so they can check it down or throw it. Like, he's getting the ball out quicker before they can get a sack, even though they're getting pressures. Does that make sense? I feel like that's kind of going on.
It just seems like I watch a lot of, we all watch a lot of football and we see all these defenses blitzing. The Niners, I don't see them send anybody. I don't.
Well, I mean, they didn't want to send extra guys tonight because they had Renardo Green on the back end in his first NFL action on the road against 3 pretty good receivers. So, I mean, I just think that they wanted to protect their guys on the back end by not blitzing. I mean, we can ask Sorensen about it this week, but I think that's probably the answer.
Larry, what do you think?
Go ahead, Ryan.
We were just talking about the Prime Vision, and they have a nerd on there that just jumps on and like tells you stuff as you're watching the. And like one of the things he brought up is that he didn't give any stats for like the previous weeks, but he was showing like plays from the previous weeks, and then he was just saying in that game they were 0 for 4 at that point when facing man coverage because the receivers weren't getting any separation. And then Purdy was 9 of 10 in zone, and so we were talking about like the Super Bowl. The receivers got absolutely clamped up, even Ayuk. Like, they all got put in jail, and they couldn't do anything. So, like, what do you think's going to happen next week versus the Chiefs?
Well, as far as will the Niners be able to get any separation? I mean, I think that what you're looking at is Ayuk can get separation, but he's just rounding into form. Debo, I think, is losing his ability to separate as a route runner. You know what I mean? He's a momentum player, so he needs like 3 or 4 steps, and then he's got great momentum and he can build up speed. He kind of translates power to speed, but he's not his like quickness and ability in short area to jump around and get open. And
his 0 to 60,
nifty.
I think he's gotten worse. I think his 0 to 60 has gotten much worse this year.
And then JJ's never really been. Yeah, I mean, JJ's never been a separator. So, and then Kittle's 30.
Yeah, they've got an issue with the receivers. I think that's probably why they did pick Pearsall. I think they're probably looking to phase Debo out next year, but
he's the odd man out.
But Debo looks like a guy. I heard you, Larry, say something about your old defensive coordinator coach. How guys just
you just sometimes in personnel he would say, "Hey, look, just remember that the careers in the NFL every year is like 3 years in baseball or 4 years in basketball." And it's just like you guys do lose it over the course of a year or two, and the careers are really short. And there's countless examples of that. And it's just he's lost some quickness, and who knows if he's not going to get quicker. You would think in the future. You saw those numbers, the Debo Yak numbers. The Niners are 29th in team yak. They were 5th last year. Debo's been 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. Every year. He's 38th right now coming into today. Now he got a lot of yak yardage in this game.
He got yak on that one play.
On the one play.
Got like 40 yards of yak on that one play. Where
and then that long 3rd down screen pass where it's just like, where's that been? Like you don't even see it anymore. But it used to be a staple with Jimmy G.
the other one is like, I can't believe in a game of this magnitude that we got a blown call of that nature. I mean, once again, here is Kev tweeted this out. This is the maybe we could turn the volume down on this. I'm not sure if it matters.
The funny thing, I don't know if you're monitoring Twitter, but a lot of the 49ers reporters were just murdering Shanahan for such an idiotic decision because apparently they were in the stadium and so they weren't seeing that.
Yeah,
angle.
I know. I saw that. People were like, Shanahan is just beating himself right now. Like,
Why? Because he did what here?
Challenged it because he challenged it and he was wrong, I guess.
But because they didn't show the angle, for the people that were in the stadium in Seattle, they didn't show the angle there.
Well, I mean,
that clearly, when they showed that,
where's the most definitive angle? This one right here? Is this the clearest angle? Yeah, right there. Oh, yeah.
Right there. It's his fingers. You can see it.
Yeah, wait a second. Let's go back. It's right at the bottom of the screen.
Try to pause it right when it hits his finger because it's a little laggy on our end. Yeah.
Is that
you saw his finger bend back.
We'll put it right here. We'll move it back.
High ball, if it in fact hits the return man, it looks pretty clear that it hit his thumb.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just ridiculous. We were told, I was saying when you left, I was under the impression that New York has more angles than us.
Right. Yeah, we're
even less.
That right there is clear. It hit his hand. And the Niners challenged it, and they looked at it, and they didn't overrule it. Could you imagine if all the money, all the meetings, all the internal memos they have about replay, all of the decisions, all of the coaches' meetings, the general managers' meetings in Florida, we're going to Scottsdale, league meetings, get it right, what's reviewable, what's not, and you get a primetime national TV Thursday night game, and we get a play of this consequence, this could have determined the game.
If they scored a touchdown,
brutal.
On that drive, if they scored a touchdown, they would have led the game. They would have been leading. So
right.
I mean, that was a crucial play in the moment. Luckily, the Niners got them to punt. I think in 4 plays. So
yeah, it was 3
fine,
now.
But
they just don't have a Prime subscription in the New York office.
I mean, that is wild. And then Graham pops right on it, and it would have been Niners possession at the 10 or something like that.
About the 20.
Overall, glad though.
15,
it was a nice little test of their mettle and kind of a good little shut up, shutting people up. I saw people were ready to freak out. I saw tweets about Shanahan getting fired after the game. I saw. So
okay. Can I also take us back to one play that I can't believe. I can't believe they allowed this to happen. I talked about it all week. And I know, it's, they've made these decisions, but the very first drive of the game by Seattle, what did they do on the very, very first drive? Geno gets Metcalf on a shallow cross against Devondre Campbell for 38 yards, and he was just in full trail mode. And I was shocked that they couldn't do that 3 or 4 or 5 more times the rest of the game. I didn't see the all 22 yet, of course. I don't know what adjustment, if any, the Niners made, or if they just went away from that. But guys, that seemed like, based on what I've seen from Campbell and based on what we know about how Metcalf runs, they could have done that all night long. I'm surprised they didn't. What do you guys think of that play?
It seemed like a bad omen for sure. Luckily, Geno just seemed kind of spooked from the beginning. He sort of got his crap together at one point in the game. Again, back to the sacks and the pressures thing. I just saw another stat on Twitter that Nick Bosa generated 14 pressures.
14. He had 2 last week.
Which is tied. It's tied for the most by a pass rusher in a game over the last 4 seasons.
Yeah,
the last one was Bosa.
But no sacks. No sacks. So what's the deal? They're getting
gets rid of the ball the fastest. That's why he's one of the fastest in the league at getting rid of the ball, I think. What were you going to say, Kev?
No, I'm just saying. I was saying that if you don't have tight coverage, the quarterback can get rid of the ball quick. So I think there's a little bit of lack of tight coverage in some aspects, and he was just getting rid of the ball. But just in this game, I want to say, like, if you want to say last week the Niners played like they played their game, but things didn't break right for them. Like they had a couple interceptions or a tipped ball that caught for an interception. Like things definitely broke in their way in this game. Like back to the DK point, there was a touchdown to DK that got called back on a tic tac illegal motion call. And that would have been easily a touchdown. Odom was getting burned by DK, I think, in multiple instances. There was the one where he had DK over the top, but the ball was just short. So I think that there was a couple times where the Niners could have gotten exposed there and just got kind of bailed out. So I think the Niners kind of got lucky in this one. Not completely lucky, but things definitely broke their way to get this win.
Well, and I'll give you another one that stood out to me. First quarter, right? It was the second drive by Seattle, and they've moved the ball from their own 10. They're now down, or they're now still on their own 25-yard line. It's 3rd and 10. And Gino went to Metcalf, and Yadam, was absolutely, if you watched it, he held him like 5 different times. He held him on the, at the line. He held him on the break. He literally had his hand around his waist with the ball, still wasn't there. And it was an incompletion, and he got away with the PI. I mean, it was an obvious PI. That was 3rd and 10. That would have given them a first down. Instead, they had to punt the ball back to the Niners. So the Niners caught a couple breaks, and that was one of them for sure.
They definitely had a few. I mean, we just were talking about the replay shenanigans. I mean, they were able to recover that fumble, but also the kick return. In my mind, I think it probably squared out.
I'll tell you, the one play that I was like, whoa, was when the Niners scored on the Debo 76-yard play. That, first of all, by the way, for those of you who've been demanding play action, that was a play action pass on the Debo, Purdy to Debo for 76 yards. But that ball really hung in the air. My God. I mean, Purdy saw him, but that ball really hung. And he threw a couple balls that easily could have been picked, that really, really hung in the air. Like, let's wait for it to get there. And then conversely, there was that one where DK, it was a nice pass to DK. And if he had attacked it aggressively, he would have made the catch. Instead, he was really passive, like letting it come to him. And I forget what defender it was, but one of the Niner defenders got in there and, popped it out and basically said, PBU right there, a little pass breakup. So, but yeah, that was a play that stood out. Let's get a couple of these supers in here before we get too far behind. Steven C says, wild how the review team in New York said they didn't have the same camera angles as the announcers. What the hell is the purpose of sending it to New York for review? We got that one. We got this one from Fluffy Phil. Guerendo deserves love for the red zone dive on his long run. Team first play, very selfless move. I can't decide if he dove or if he was tripped up, but either way,
he got tripped up first, and then.
But did he pull up a little bit? See, I think he might have.
He pulled up. Debo said in the press conference that he asked him like why he didn't just punch it in, basically, and I guess Guerendo said that he could see the people on the sideline were like telling him to get down, and Debo was like, why are you looking at the sideline? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're running the ball.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those.
I thought he got tripped up at first, but then if you watch it in slow mo, like as soon as he's getting tripped up, he's like in this slide motion. So unless that was just like the most incredible save of like a trip to slide kind of motion, like it looked like it was kind of planned.
It was another great play in this game was when the Niners got that run. On the JP Mason 38-yard run on the touchdown, when they had to settle for the first field goal, the 25-yarder for Matthew Wright. Trent Williams and Banks got big blocks, but then they showed on the replay Kittle just pancaked Julian Love.
Yeah,
and Julian Love's an awesome player, man. For Kittle to get the pancake right there, that was Kittle had a hell of a game, guys. He really did.
He did. I mean, those were two. Props to Kittle and props to Purdy. I mean, both of those touchdowns were third downs. Those were big time.
I mean, Kittle's like their most effective receiver. Like he's winning his matchups probably at the highest rate, like at least from the eye test. Like he's actually getting meaningful catches when he needs to.
And he's such a freak athletically that, like, you know, even though he's slowed down, he's still quicker than like most tight ends in the league. I will say though, I did notice a little bit of it's like I didn't notice it until last week when the Niners were playing McBride, and it's like McBride, you know, is just hitting his prime, and he's just like an absolute monster and just so difficult to take down. And it's like kind of compare that to Kittle now, and it's like Kittle used to just be a monster. You could not get him on the ground. Now it's kind of like, you know, even if it's a corner, you know, it's kind of one hit, he goes down, but that's all right. That's all right. He does all the right stuff.
Steven C says, please keep Yadam on the sideline. Tired of him. Okay. Zachary Kelway, Renardo effing Green. Love that.
I think that pick was game saving. To be honest.
Yes, I was sweating.
Saved the game.
This kid, I did an interview with him. He's so serious. He's like, you know, he's not loose and fun. He's like serious and very, very intense.
Yeah.
I just kind of knew. It's like I said, you know, I go, you really exude a lot of confidence, and he's just like, hey man, that's the job. That's the job. Rakumi says we're in control of the division again. Panic relieved for now. Also, who would have thought a tight end would be the answer in the red zone? It's not like Joe Montana figured that out 40 years ago. That's a good point. Zachary Kelway, people have dumb ideas, but the idea that Kyle Shanahan should be fired at this point, that's like someone saying we should sew our asses to our faces, which sounds painful. And it would be very difficult to do. I'm not very flexible myself. Carson Taylor says, to me, it felt more like we survived than won. I don't know. It was 36-24. And they had a touchdown called back. And they had a turnover that they should have had. It would have been a major turnover. Mr. 33 Degrees says, even though we won during the whole second half, I was all puckered up. This team still has a lot of work to do. Give Guerendo his flowers, Larry. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That was an incredible 76-yard run. I think everybody kind of knows where I'm at with Guerendo. I think I made my point clear. And I think my point
stands on Guerendo.
Yeah, the point stands. He has no running back instincts, and he's a crazy athlete, and he's too valuable to put on the practice squad, but he's also too fast and big to not utilize. So utilize him. Just don't ask him to pick and slide on, you know, short yardage runs. D Martinez 949. No way Luter can be worse than Yadam. Yeah, Luter had a forced fumble. That was a nice play by Luter.
Yadam had some ugly coverage snaps. I'm not gonna. There was a few bad ones. There was a few bad.
Yeah, he's aggressive. He'll have some plays. He's a veteran, but he's a little grabby.
Yeah, he's trying to get away with some of the grabs, and he got called on that in the end zone.
Yeah, and you get grabby when you can't run. Come on, Friday says, I think red zone O looked better. I see good signs, but the O-line rush gaps in the red zone were null, and the pass pro in red zone was terrible. I'll have to check it out on the replay tonight. Doug D
crazy
says,
about the play on the 2-point conversion on the second drive. When I looked at the formation, it was like, they're not going to make it. Guerendo's in the backfield, and they have nobody out wide. It's going to be a run up the middle, and they stuffed it.
Would you have preferred they go with the PAT?
No, I wanted to go
specifically. Would you prefer they used you on the PAT?
No. I was saying Kyle's an idiot if he doesn't go for 2 because it was a 12-point game.
Right.
But when they got the penalty, and they moved it to the 1-yard line and they got a second try, I thought, you know, this is a time where you do play action. You're
gonna do play action on the 1?
Heck yeah.
But then everyone's going to be crying about why didn't you just run the ball in at the
the formation they sat at, they went in was a total run play. There was no, they were all
I'll stay with my original take, which is I thought Brendel was kind of a weak spot on this line. I thought he had another questionable game today. I would have loved to have seen kind of more of a powerhouse type center. And if they did, I think they'd be running it in short yardage and on the goal line a whole lot better than they are right now. That's just
maybe
my
it was
perspective.
Taylor. They're saying it was some people in the chat. I can't remember who it was, but
it was Taylor.
It was
Taylor.
I just didn't like the call because
he got popped pretty good.
when I saw the formation, I go, "Oh, Seattle's set up to stuff it."
But look at the
because-
penetration they got. I mean, they got great penetration.
Yeah.
Doug D says, fire the special teams coach now. Kickoff returns breakaway again. Field goal kickers should not have to make tackles. Coach for excellence. Don't coach to not cost us a game. Yeah, that's what Kyle said. That's how he views special teams. I mean, Schneider's got to feel terrible. I mean, he's got to. I mean, I don't know if they'll fire him, but he might. I mean, it's possible. Maitland says, just wait. Guerendo reminds me of Mostert. What do you guys see? What do you guys think? He is big, he is fast, and he does run upright like Mostert. He's probably a little thicker.
That's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard that comparison before. I mean, obviously, Guerendo's a lot more raw. It's a lot more. I think Mostert had a lot more reps in college than Guerendo.
That's what their running back coach said. He said that he reminded him of Mostert, but I don't think he has the contact balance Mostert has. Like, even as big of a guy as he is and as fast as he is, he's kind of like he gets touched, he goes down.
Yeah. Larry, you remember
are
this
you guys
guy?
the same thing as me?
What's that, Kev?
Oh, you froze a sec.
You froze for a sec there, Kev.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you guys are seeing the same thing as me, but I feel like I can see Guerendo thinking. Like when it's a toss play, like I can feel like he's not running full speed. Like even though he might be picking a hole, it's almost like he doesn't know where he should accelerate, and then it's just
that's what guys do when they're not running backs.
Well,
I'll say this: he's exciting as hell, though.
Oh, he is.
If you can, the word is spring. Can you spring him? If you can spring him past the line of scrimmage, man, you get him on that second level, and he's gone.
You remember Christian Okoye, Larry, from the Chiefs?
Yeah,
Christian
I played golf with him. I played the Nigerian Nightmare.
Yeah,
great.
I mean, that was a guy.
Phenomenal guy.
A little bit of I see a little bit of Okoye in Guerendo.
Yeah, I do too. He's a little top heavy.
Yeah,
big upper body, very strong. I see a little Sammy Smith. For you old school Florida State fans, big back, rain upright, could really run though. I mean, like really, really run. I haven't seen any. See, the thing about Guerendo, which makes him so special, literally in my lifetime, we're talking about 50 years of watching football. I've probably only seen like 3 or 4 guys that are this size that can run this fast.
Well, only him and DK are that size and that speed, right? You know that, right? That's like the stats.
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, like in my whole life, I'm talking about Bo Jackson.
Right.
I'm talking about, the fastest runners were all smaller guys. That's pretty rare. I mean, I mentioned Sammy Smith, who played at Florida State with Dion in the late 80s. He was 225 and he ran 4.4. I mean, he was really, really incredible. And this guy runs 4.33 at 220.
Like what Ryan was saying earlier in the show. I mean, this is not like to take a hit at your point. Like Braylon Allen was picked and he's looking better right now. But if Guerendo can start playing like an actual running back, I mean, he's gonna be awesome. He's gonna be awesome to watch. I mean, he was running for 2.56 a carry. So obviously the 76-yard run or the 86-yard run he had is gonna inflate his numbers tonight. But he's super exciting. I'm really excited to see how he looks like week 16, week 17.
It's a great change of pace.
I want to see. And this guy was a high school receiver. Let's take a look at what he would look like if you threw him a pass where he didn't have to turn his back to the defense. If you could find a way to get him on like a slant or a seam route where you can take advantage of his momentum going down the field. I mean, you're talking about a guy, you got unleash that guy in a secondary and nobody's going to want to touch him. He's just too big.
Can he receive?
He's exciting.
I wonder if he can receive because there was a play where Purdy almost had him in the backfield. Like I thought he was going to go to him, but then he went up top. He was he held the linebacker and then he went up top. I'm kind of forgetting who he threw it to, but I was like, oh, he's going to hit Guerendo and Guerendo's going to burst one, but he didn't hit Guerendo. So I wonder what his receiving ability is like.
Zachary Kelway says Guerendo has feel. You guys will realize you were wrong soon. He just needed the touches and needs time to understand NFL speed. NFL speed takes time. We'll see. Brian says, coming from Washington, bringing my son to see the rematch on November the 17th. Really hope it's a repeat. Might finally be able to go to Pig in a Pickle. LOL. Go check him out. Emeryville, Corte Madera.
McKelway wrote that last one. You guys do realize you're wrong.
You guys do realize that. Excuse me, my name is Zachary Kelway, and I'm a doctor.
You guys will.
Zachary, did you steal our paper? I thought I saw you steal our paper off the stoop. I'm a doctor, Larry. I'm Zachary Kelway. I'm Dr. Kelway. Let me explain to you. You know you're really a popular guy at cocktail parties when you walk up to people. You're wrong, and I'll tell you why.
Hey,
Some-
here's a little something of humor. How about the game ball tonight? Could you see? I could just see Kyle giving the game ball to Matthew Wright. Leaves Tampa Bay. Hey, let's give the ball to Matthew
Why
Wright.
not?
He just lost his home, and now he's lost his shoulder.
Did you hear his story?
The team.
Danny, did you hear his story?
I did not fully.
So I talked to him in the locker room, and I didn't even realize his story. He's from Tampa. Obviously, you all know what's going on this week with Tampa, hurricanes, Milton, Helene, all these things. They're bearing down these poor people. Their houses are getting blown away, 100-mile-an-hour winds. It's just
terrible.
It's even, as somebody who lives in Northern California, I have a hard time relating. I got to be completely honest. But it is incredible to watch it, and obviously our hearts and prayers go out to all the people affected by it. And people lose everything, and it's just devastation. It's like you just feel for these people. And it's like, I don't know. It's watching that. It's just, Tampa was going through an awful lot.
Yeah. I just heard tonight on the broadcast that he left his home and
he's from Tampa, and they decided, because they're like, hey man, the hurricane's coming, we got to leave. Well, hey, the Niners are calling for a tryout, and he's like, well, let's go. So they flew out to San Francisco for a tryout. He beat out 3 other place kickers for the job and got the job. And he's like, yeah, we were going to leave anyway. We had to evacuate. So, I mean, talk about, life, just leading you around, and, you're just kind of leaving it all to fate. But I hope his shoulder's okay, because he doesn't have a big leg. He doesn't have a big leg, but he looks like a guy who is going to be, he's not going to kick it out of the back of the end zone, but he's a reliable inside of 45.
Think about this.
Revenge game next week.
How many points did he get? How many touchdowns did the Niners get tonight? 2?
He got 3 field goals and 3 extra points.
Did he get 3 field goals or 2?
Or no, 2. They went for 2 once.
3 field goals.
So they got
3 field goals. 3 field goals. Only 2 extra points.
Okay, so he got 11 points and saved 6.
3 extra points. 3 field goals, 3 extra points.
Oh, okay. So he got
12
points and he saved 6. I mean, he saved 6 on that touchdown, on that tackle, and they won by 12. So
maybe I know this doesn't matter.
Law.
I know this doesn't matter at all, but you could see the difference in his kicks. Like Moody has a leg. Like his kicks are like hitting the net like 70 miles per hour. Like these kicks were like,
I know. They were like,
but I mean, hey, if you make them, you make them.
Yeah, I mean, Moody. Moody is Aroldis Chapman, and this guy's Tyler Rogers. There you go. James Foster said Burford next to Trent is intriguing. Yeah, Burford was in there for Banks, and Banks went out with the calf. How would Trent went down with the knee? Did you guys see Patrick Taylor almost fall into Trent Williams' knee?
Mm-mm.
You didn't see that? Patrick Taylor went down. He kind of grazed Trent Williams, and then he looked up and he saw it was Trent, and you could tell he was like, I think he even raised his hand, like, "Are you okay?" It was like, I gotta ask Patrick Taylor about that this week, because it looked like he knew that he bumped into Trent and was deathly afraid that he hurt him. That's what it looked like. Red zone, we got this one from Kevin Andrews photo. Red zone touchdown percentage is still my biggest concern. Brock only converted these 2 Kittle touchdowns due to perfectly placed passes. Brock was insanely clutch on both. We got this one, Stark Green over Yadam when Mooney Ward comes back. Mr. 33 degrees. Guys, give me your percentage chance we beat KC. I give it 20%. What do y'all think? I think a percentage from all of you guys, please. I'll say 10.
I mean, then you should definitely bet Kansas City, because I'm pretty sure the Niners are favored.
You know what? They're asking me to come over on the radio. Can you guys hang for 10 minutes while I jump over? Okay, I'll be right back. Maybe Kev can go through some of these supers for us.
Wait, did you say the line? Did you say the line, or can we guess it real quick? Did you say?
Yeah, guess it.
I would have guessed like it's Chiefs -2 or Chiefs -1. Like, it's honest guess. I know that you said the Niners are favored. But
I'm pretty sure that's what I saw on Twitter, but
I would
going to
say
check.
9. I would agree with Kev about -2, maybe 1.5.
I mean,
should we play
49ers.
guess the lines on some of these,
Yeah, yeah.
games? Let's play guess the
Oh,
lines.
I actually am down. I'm down. I will say, though, I think 49ers home field, especially for a Chiefs game, probably worth like 1.5. So if it's 1.5, that means that Vegas thinks there's the same team.
Who's favored?
And now,
I'm looking it up right now. God.
is it too early?
I think it might be. It's got to be up somewhere.
I'll check Action Network. They always have
Okay,
it.
FanDuel.
Some people in the chat are saying the Niners are favored.
I mean,
look at the Niners schedule, guys. They got the Chiefs, who are going to be fully rested coming off a bye.
Oh wow, I'm seeing Niners -1.
okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. So Chiefs are slightly
some books
better.
are 1.5. Some books at 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
everyone's their mom's gonna be teasing the Chiefs. They're gonna be
So check
putting
this
Chiefs
out.
and all these teases.
Check this out, guys. Niners are facing the Chiefs. Chiefs coming off a bye. Then they play the Cowboys, and the Cowboys have a bye. And then the Niners play Tampa after their bye. And then they come back home to face Seattle, and Seattle's on a bye. So 3 of their next 4 games, they're facing teams with byes coming off a bye. What the heck's that with the NFL?
Oh yeah, I mean, we haven't realized it, but you guys saw like when the schedule came out, Warren Sharp did his thing. He's like the Niners. His whole like statement on like the schedule was the Niners were like getting the most fucked out of any team in like recent memory and rest days. It's crazy.
How is that? I mean, how do you even set that up? I mean,
well,
the one thing
like
they
a Thursday night football game on week 6, and you don't get a rest advantage. Like that's pretty tough.
Yeah, they don't get.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's a Thursday game before this.
Yeah, I mean,
they just got to make it through the gauntlet. I mean, honestly, not scared of the Cowboys.
They've got, when they play Tampa Bay, Tampa's has a Monday night game at Kansas City so they've got a little advantage there because they're coming off a bye and Tampa's in Kansas City. So that's favorable.
I'm shocked by that, honestly. I'm shocked the Niners are 1-point favorites. It's pretty.
I mean, Kansas City has not been that good this year. I mean, if you go by, yes, they've won every game, but Mahomes has been bad, like straight up bad. Like they're kind of winning in spite of him.
I mean, that's a fair point because the Niners red zone percentage before this week, I think was 30th or it was 29th, and the team that was 30th was the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are struggling in the red zone just as much as the Niners were.
I think the line could change if Mason is not healthy. It could go up. It could be Chiefs -2, -3.
I don't know. I actually, my gut instinct, I think the Niners beat the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs, what are the Chiefs going to go 15-0 with this team? 17-0, 16-0? Like,
this would be the year they do it. Chiefs.
I don't know. Some of those trends where it's like Mahomes as like a under 3 point, Mahomes as a dog, or like Andy Reid off a bye. Like those are tough.
I know it is a little frightening. Kareem Hunt's got another week. I can fish.
Isn't 1.5 kind of fishy too? 1.5 on it. I don't know. I don't know how the public's going to bet this. Where do you think the public is on?
It's going to be on the Chiefs. Everybody's going to be teasing the Chiefs. They're going to be doing whatever 6-point teases.
Super fishy. At a 1.5, that's super fishy.
Yeah, it's almost they want people to be betting the Chiefs or something. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of think the Niners get him this time. Mahomes just hasn't been playing well. It'd be really frustrating if he had his first absolutely monster game versus the Niners. Even last week was that was his best game statistically. And I wouldn't put that red zone pick on him, although he's just been throwing picks like crazy. But I think last week he had 300 yards and a touchdown, but 230 of it was on Yak. It's hilarious because Mahomes is actually what everyone accused Jimmy G of being. That's what he's doing this year. The Chiefs are by far leading the league in Yak. He doesn't throw the ball past 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. Like his ADOT is like 55th or something like that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Brock is just chucking it down the field.
Yeah, the biggest misconception
chucking
about
it.
the biggest
I like
misconception about Mahomes is that he's like a deep passer. Like he's not. Like if you want to call someone dink and dunk, call Mahomes dink and dunk. I think I heard Troy Aikman call Mahomes dink and dunk on the broadcast on Monday night because that's kind of what he's doing right now. He's just someone's open the flat and just let him run.
I mean, his most elite
Great
thing, he's still unreal escaping
Of course.
in the pocket. And there's nothing more frustrating or demoralizing than when you just see him like waddling / jogging to like somehow he's able to just like make these like generational athletes just like fall over and somehow they can't catch up to him. I don't understand. It's like he has it like perfectly calibrated in his brain.
To that point though, Purdy today. He's become just a savant in scrambling and escaping. Like he's never going down. He's not. Did he get sacked today? I don't think he got sacked today.
Didn't get sacked. There was that one play where I don't know how he could have possibly known the guy was there. I don't know if he just got lucky, but like there was somebody rounding like they were going to sack him from behind, and it was like right as he got there, he stepped up and like ran for a first down.
So this guy, Mr. 33 Degrees, is asking for our percentages.
Oh yeah. I think the Niners are like, oh God. I'll say this. I think the Niners are 70% to be leading after 3.
Ooh.
70%.
So what do you think they win? Do you think they win?
I think they win.
What's your percentage you think they win?
I think 55.
Kev?
I almost want to say 50 because I think it's going to come down like a last-second play, but I'll give the edge to the Niners. I think, I'll give the edge. 51% Niners.
I went on a little bit of a Mahomes rant on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that Jimmy G thing I put up, but like it was like comparing Jimmy G in his last 20 regular season games as a Niner versus Patrick Mahomes in his last 20 regular season games. And it's like Jimmy G has Jimmy G was 14-6, Mahomes was 15-5. They both have 5,100 yards. They're both 68% completion. Jimmy G has 30 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. Mahomes has 31 total touchdowns. Jimmy G has 12 interceptions. Mahomes has 19, which is just insane. So he's still, you wouldn't want anybody else in the playoffs. He's a monster in the playoffs, but yeah. Isn't that kind of insane?
Yeah. And then I saw someone said like show the rushing yards, but I
kind of trolled by also including rushing touchdowns.
How do you have more rushing touchdowns than Mahomes? That's crazy.
Dude, Jimmy G was the QB sneak god.
That's crazy.
Wait a minute. How many touchdowns did Jimmy G have?
4.
He had 30 plus 4 rushing touchdowns, so 34 total. But I mean, it's over 20 games. I mean, 20 games is more than the regular season, and Mahomes is like, Mahomes is at 31 touchdowns. I think his last like 10 regular season game. It's been like 10 regular season games since the Chiefs have gone over 27 points. I think the last time they did it was October of last year versus the Raiders.
So let me ask you guys this: if this is the year you think they beat the Chiefs, is this the year the Cowboys beat the Niners?
No, I actually was thinking about that. That's how you know, like, if things are actually just like effed.
Where's that Cowboys game? Is it at home?
Yeah, Sunday night.
I don't know. I think the Cowboys are kind of fraudulent. I think that their win against Pittsburgh was, even though I bet on the Cowboys. The whole game I was like, I should have bet on Steelers. This
Pittsburgh is due. I mean, the Cowboys can't run the ball. They did their best job running the ball on Sunday night, but they can't run the ball and they can't stop the run.
Hey, Sean Proctor just told me this. Andy Reid is 28-4 off of a bye, including playoffs and Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's heinous.
There you go.
It's
what I'm saying.
I think the Niners have a 47.4 chance. 47.4% chance of winning.
I mean, I will take the coward's way out and emotionally hedge and bet the Chiefs.
Yeah. But,
should we go to the next super here?
Yeah,
do the next super.
Fuji's Mion 13 says Dan's agent is Boris. Scott Boris. Can't risk angering the man. Did you guys see the Hassan Reddick news?
I wish I had him as my agent.
Yeah, he just got dropped by CAA, or was it he dropped CAA?
No, like they dropped him. Like I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah. Like you got kind of an automatic payday coming up if you're.
I would love to
agent.
have Scott Boris as my agent. That means I'm doing even better.
Fuji's Mion 13 says thoughts on Niners unsuccessful challenge.
Thought it was a great challenge. It's a great challenge.
It was a great challenge. It was insane. Could you imagine if that happened during the Chiefs game? The conspiracies that would be out there. Would be
the NFL conspiracy. I mean, they're still gonna. I think there's gonna be someone who makes a conspiracy on that. I mean, I know they won the game, but that's just crazy. That's crazy. I've never heard that before. How
do you miss that? I don't understand how the NFL says comes out and admits we didn't have that camera angle. I mean,
I think because they were getting crushed because they realized that like we got to get ahead of this.
Yeah, I mean it's like kind of fair. Like I guess it's better just be honest about it. But what about like looking around the rest of the league? Obviously the Niners aren't off to a hot start. The 1 seed's going to be a little bit difficult. But like, who are you guys actually afraid of for the Niners in the playoffs in the NFC?
Me personally,
yeah,
Detroit,
yep,
and Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of the NFC. Like the reason why the Niners were 2-3 last week and still like favorites to win the conference is because the conference kind of sucks. I mean, who's dominant in the conference? The Vikings. I think people still don't really believe in them. Like I think they still don't really believe in the Vikings being like some unbeatable team.
Sam Darnold is not going to take this team to the
as soon as the Vikings drop a game, it's going to be like, oh, down go the Vikings, you know. But
remember 2 years ago, the Vikings were winning all those close games, like, and then
they're the luckiest team in the NFL.
Yeah, they were like 8-1 or something.
They were like 11-4 in the 3 seed, and they were like, I think they were like dogs or like really close favorites in their first playoff game.
Yeah. Also, by the way, just to want to clarify, that wasn't an argument for Jimmy G over Patrick Mahomes. It was more so like, holy shit, we all think Jimmy G kind of sucks and got carried by a defense and a head coach and play caller and weapons. And so comparison. For me too, it's the Lions, it's the Packers, it's the teams that actually can like run the ball, have great offensive lines, can play defense. The Packers still, Jordan Love looks like, I mean, he's got a little bit of Will Levis in him right now, but apparently his ankle is still kind of messed up. Like he came out and said they can't really do play action right now because he can't play under center. Like he needs to play in the shotgun. So
let me ask you guys
better.
Let me ask you guys
that ball
a
he
question.
threw up for a touchdown. Like that was going to get picked. Like
that was insane. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, guys. Would you trade straight up just our receivers for the Packers receivers straight up? All of everybody, the whole receiver crew.
Probably not. I mean, Jaden Reed is nasty. He's kind of like
Wicks.
Wicks is not. I mean, Wicks is
Watson,
an unreal route runner. He just has dicks for hands, unfortunately.
I would say Niners because I don't know if any of those guys yet are like pure wide receiver. Like I don't know if any
Watson,
of those guys are
Dobbs.
guaranteed.
Yeah, Watson's like Will Fuller. Like the idea of him is great, but he's always
Ayuk and Debo have both been all pros. Like I don't know if any of those guys are ever going to be all pros.
I'm just down on Debo. I'm down on Debo as a straight receiver. I mean, he's great with the gadgets and the Debo sweeps and stuff, but those are getting. He seems to lost a step, and he's not getting around the edge straight. Turning up square with his shoulders like he used to quicker. He's kind of rounding, and then they're cutting him off. So I'm kind of just down on his route running. And
I agree with you, Dan, because it's like, I mean, I want to give Debo his flowers. He had a great game. He had 100 yards, touchdown. But Debo didn't prove to me today that he's like back to like prime Debo. He still ran on his carries. He still ran for 3.8 a carry on 15 yards on 4 runs. He's not that used to be at like 7 yards a carry for him as a receiver, getting some of these end arounds. So he's still, I think, is just not He's just not prime Debo, sadly.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Hey, wait a minute.
Did you get through all the supers?
You were over on the other side.
Oh.
You got me all screwed up, Larry. You were over where Kev was.
Wait.
Oh, what?
Oh, there we go.
Now we're moving.
God dang it. Rye had written to his contract. He always gets the bottom right, so I can't switch him. It's all about contractual. But Danny, we could move Danny around. I mean, we could
right off the show.
Yeah, I mean, we could
put Danny in the green room.
we could do all kinds of different things, and play with it. Do we get this one, Kevin Andrews?
No, we haven't read this one yet.
He says QB School does great breakdowns on YouTube. Very high on Brock. He constantly points out how lazy Debo is when running routes. Defenders never buy it. Yeah, we had JT O'Sullivan on the show.
I saw Johnny Dell breakdown on Twitter, and it was the same thing. It's like Debo has an out route, and like he might not be getting the ball, but the defender doesn't have to like cover him as hard. He can kind of play both players because Debo's like kind of jogging, and it's just like, dude, come on.
His routes are because he's not agile. I've watched him. His routes, they're rounded instead of 90 degrees. Like Ayuk's breaks are like boom, boom. Debo's are just like, and with a DB, they know that route and they can easily shut him down. And that's why in the Super Bowl, he was ineffective. He would have been better not even on the field. He would have been better off having another wide receiver playing in his place.
We welcome in Nicotina.
What's up, guys?
From Dre Area Sports.
What's up?
That's right.
What's up, Nicotina?
I'm happy to be here, man. It's good to talk with you guys. And hey, it was a great Niner win. I mean, it got a little shaky at one point, got a little scary at one point.
Thanks for coming.
And I think everyone felt that kind of tension as the Seattle started to get back in the game. But hey, they won and they're in first place, so couldn't be happier.
All is right with the world.
All is right with the world.
There are people in the chat who are like, "You guys are licking their boots, and you should be crushing them." And this, they, the hardest thing to do in sports is to do what everybody tells you got to do. They had to win on the road in Seattle, guys. I don't know about you, but I can remember a time when the 49ers got their ass kicked in Seattle regularly, and that they never won in Seattle, and it was nearly impossible to win in Seattle. And so I don't know. I'm at that point now where every win in Seattle from now on, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to show you guys a picture here because I took this. This is from earlier today. This is a computer printout. That's all of the last Niner Seahawk battles.
It's a game of runs.
Look how many Seahawk wins.
Bingo.
Now the Niners have won, I think, 6 in a row now. But look at all those. Look at all those green wins over the Niners. That's all the head-to-head. So I don't know.
Oh my God! You remember the years of Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson had their number for years.
Russell Wilson killed them. Yep. So I don't know. I'm not gonna bury the Niners when they win. We got plenty of time to do the autopsy and break it all down. I guess I got to ask you, Kev, where is the Kevin Andrews photo? What time is this chat? Can I get in on the chats here, or was it at the bottom? Are you guys almost done with them, or
probably right where you left off? We only read like 2 or 3.
Okay. So I got to find it here.
I can play the next one if you just want me to roll. I can roll them for you.
Oh, here it is. I got JP hella hard. There we go. You just put it up there. 6 straight wins against the Sea Chickens, and we have 3 cornerstone rookies in Pooney, Mustafa, and Green. Probably more than that. D. Martinez says Yadam and Campbell need to call it a career. Definitely Campbell. Xavier says LK talked about Renardo Green all season. Rookies showed up. He's a very serious kid for sure, Renardo. Treeman McCool Jackson says put some respect on Shanahan's name for calling the Hughes check run. What'd you guys think of the Hughes check and Kittle running to jump into the laps of their wives?
What about the Debo one? Debo just hopped in.
Debo jumped in. What do you think of the Lambeau leap, but not at Lambeau?
I thought it was awesome. Especially it was in Seattle too, so all those fans were pissed. They were like, "Oh, how could they?" And their wives were right there, and not to mention both wives were there, and both their husbands got a touchdown. I mean, that was great.
Yeah, I gotta throw a little bit of a challenge flag though. Apparently, Shanahan in the post game press conference they asked him about the Guerendo run, like, would you have preferred if he just scored the touchdown? He's like, yeah, we wanted him to score the touchdown. And he said Guerendo's excuse to him was that he went down so that Juice could have the touchdown. But it's like, the game is still within, like, you're only up. What were they up? 6?
6.
Like, if they fumbled.
How would he know
there,
that Juice was going to get Juice hasn't got a rushing touch the entire
season.
Digging a hole.
Did you guys see Saints Chiefs the other night and Saunders got the pick on the goal line? I mean, anything can happen, man. That guy's like 320 pounds. I was losing my ass because I had money on the Chiefs, but they covered. And by the way, the Niners covered. They didn't just win. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Spaghetti 49 says, Krug, you're right. 59, so slow. Cut him now. Who's 59? Nicotina, who's 59?
I don't know. I was going to look that up right now, actually. I'm thinking it's Campbell because he's
Campbell,
really slow.
Campbell, of course. Yeah, it's Campbell.
Devondre Campbell is just, he's a huge liability. He's slow. He looks overweight. He can't keep up with anyone on the field. And the fact that he's still out there now is just mind-boggling when you got guys like Tatum Bethune,
Jalen Wright, or Jalen Graham.
D. Winters. Yeah. I mean, all three of those guys, especially D. Winters, they have better pursuits of the ball. They have better speed. And Campbell's like, well, I got experience and I have a contract that I signed. I don't care. Get him off the field. He's just such a liability.
Yep.
Graham's the guy that missed the tackle on the touchdown on the kickoff return.
At least he got a hit. He was the only guy who actually got a hit on the guy. We got this one from Fuji Simeon 13. I thought Collins said Purdy was regressing. Oh yeah, Kev, can we play that? Do you have that? Did you see that, right?
Trigger me. Yeah, I saw Colin talking away. I just hate how they use the stats, man.
I hate people who cherry pick a stat and then tell you a narrative that isn't a narrative, and then it's all about
Purdy this
bottom
year,
line point
completion.
Okay, here it is.
You ready?
Yep.
Brock Purdy this year, completion percentage is worse than Will Levis. His touchdowns are lower than Justin Fields, and his giveaways double Daniel Jones. He has regressed to the mean. And what's concerning is he's only missing one piece, Christian McCaffrey. Once you pay Brock Purdy, you got to take away some of the toys. You don't get Debo and Ayuk and Kittle and Trent Williams if you have to pay him $39 million a year or $49 million a year. If you look at the 49ers offensive splits, first half, second half, quarter splits, here's what's worrying. They are 4th in the NFL offensively in the first half, 22nd in the second half. Now, why would that be? Because the first half is Kyle Shanahan's scripted plays. It's not the coach. When the GPS gets turned off, you still got to get us home.
I mean,
yeah, he thought he killed it with that last.
I know, this guy is just absolutely a cartoon character.
Yeah.
All right.
What would happen in the Green Bay and Detroit playoff comeback?
I mean, first of all, can we? I mean, this one.
The GPS really, comes off. You got
this guy really got me with this one. Okay, one. Who do you think calls the plays for the 49ers in the second half? I bet you it's, I don't know, Kyle Shanahan maybe.
Yeah,
the same guy who calls the plays
off.
in the first half. The same guy who calls the plays that you're saying is so smart is the same guy calling the plays that you're saying he's an idiot. But you're not saying he's an idiot.
Like, this is on you now.
Yeah. Hey, Brock, I get the first 25. After that, man, I'm going to go get a Polish. And then, you know what? They've got a really cool big screen upstairs. I'm going to go check that out. And I got some friends in town. I'll meet you in the locker room after. Hey, I got the first 25. We're going to have like 70 plays. You got the rest. Okay. You got it. And I'm not here. What is Colin Cowherd? That was the most embarrassing thing. And then he cherry picks these stats. I gotta have a little fun with this because I did decide to look it up. So he picks out these stats. Okay, so let's go with his stats. His first one is Purdy has a lower completion percentage than Will Levis. Well, of course it's true, 68.4 to 65.6. So it's not a huge difference, but he does have a lower percentage coming into today. But Levis also, which he doesn't mention, has a better completion percentage than Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, and many, many others. So what are we really saying? Okay, so that's one. Then he says Purdy's touchdowns are lower than Justin Fields. Well, actually, Purdy has 6 touchdown passes. Fields has 5. But Fields has 2 rushing touchdowns, and I guess maybe Purdy has none. So maybe Fields has 7 total touchdowns and Purdy has 6. But, I mean, he doesn't even mention that Jaden Daniels only has 4 touchdown passes on the season, and he's probably borderline MVP candidate. And his giveaways are double Daniel Jones. Well, coming into today, Purdy had 4 picks. Jones had 3. Jones has 2 fumbles. Brock has 4. That gives Brock 8 giveaways and Jones 5. That's not double. I mean, well, now even basic math is eluding this guy. And then to say that the first half, it's Shanahan, and the second half, it's Purdy. I mean, what? I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, that is just, why not just use any collection of numbers to tell any story you want? Here's the thing. He knows he wants to talk Niners. He knows the Niners are on national TV. He knows that the Niners offense is having problems, and he knows he can't rip Shanahan because he's done too many videos in the past at licking Shanahan's nuts. So he can't possibly rip Shanahan. So all of a sudden it becomes this, let's go after Brock Purdy. And
Purdy,
I don't
now
know. I
has
mean, Brock Purdy to me is pretty good.
He has 9 touchdowns now after tonight instead of 6.
And it's like, also in like, no, you'll never see anyone say, oh yeah, Patrick Mahomes in his last 16 regular season games has 23 touchdowns and 19 turnovers. You won't ever hear that.
Never.
No, you won't.
And all the while, the guy's 20-7, I think. And in the offense under Purdy is average like 30 points a game, I think, something right around 30 a game. And he's been to the Super Bowl, and he's won an NFC Championship game. He's been to multiples. I don't know. It just seems kind of crazy at this point.
Left the field versus Patrick Mahomes in overtime with the lead.
Right.
It's all a narrative. I mean, guys like Colin Cowherd come up with this stuff because they want to generate clicks, they want to generate controversy, and they want the fans, to get upset and tweet it out and make fun of him. He that's what he wants, and it's a shame. I mean, I do agree in the sense that like the second half numbers for the offense are not very good this year. It's something that they do have to improve on. But yeah, it's not like in the second half, Kyle Shanahan just closes up his playbook and he's just like, all right, I'm going to go sit on the bench. You guys got this, right?
Yeah, and let's talk about some real reasons. I mean, I think it's to me, this is what I love about Cowherd too. He does give you some stats, and he does make you, there's some thought-provoking stuff. Let's talk about what the stats, assuming they're real. Let's talk about that. If they are 4th in offensive yards in the first half, and they're 22nd in the second half, and obviously it's preposterous to say, well, Shanahan, and now it's not Shanahan, it's all Shanahan. So that's crazy. But what is it? I mean, what would you say? I would probably say that it's a combination of turnovers and, which some are, you can credit to Brock or blame Brock for. But turnovers would be one. I would say the lack of speed at wide receiver, the lack of separation, the lack of big play ability overall from any of their offensive weapons without CMC. I would say all those things. And maybe here's another one, maybe a little bit of fatigue. The Niners kind of have some veteran guys. They kind of go easy on themselves in the summer. They didn't play, Trent Williams and Ayuk skipped training camp altogether. I mean, is it possible that their conditioning is not really, where it should be right about now? We're 5-6 weeks into the season. I don't know. I mean, there might be some real reasons, but the reasons he gave are not the reasons. What would you guys say? What would you say is the reason the Niners are 4 in the first half, 22nd in the second half?
I mean, how about just the fact that they tend to get up a lot in the first half? So it's like naturally, I mean, that's kind of the way Shanahan's always kind of operated. He's trying to build a big lead, and then the defense should be able to eat because they're playing from behind and they're having to pass, and usually it builds on itself. It's just this year it's stalled out. I think it's also just kind of a small sample size, to be honest.
I think turnovers, turnovers is a big thing. I mean, a lot of turnovers.
Yeah. Danny, Kev, you guys got a thought or theory?
On why they're struggling in the second half.
Well, yeah, why they're 22nd in yards. I mean, I'll take Kyle Hurd's stats and say, yeah, that's a fact, but I don't think he's extrapolating out the right, I don't think he's coming to the right conclusion.
I think
he's
there's
got
a
good stats,
combination.
but I don't think the conclusion's correct.
Last week, I mean, I could check. I haven't checked what their numbers were in the second half of this game. I think that they were pretty good, but last week specifically, it was just the turnovers. It was just these brutal turnovers, the fumble by Mason, the pick that was tipped in the air. And I think that we've talked about it. They've gotten away from the run in these games where they're leading. They're still passing. Like, what's going on there? That's like, I mean, that's what gets people riled up about Kyle Shanahan. And I think it's a fair point to be mad at him about. But I'll check right now. But I think today they did pretty well in the second half.
Yeah, and they had 228 yards rushing tonight, and
Which is great. I mean, that's a great
255 yards passing. So
80 of
over
that
400,
basically,
over
though,
400, almost 500 yards total offense. I mean, a couple of big plays. I mean, obviously, the 58-yard or the big pass to Debo, yeah, the 76-yard touchdown pass, and then Kittle had a 29, and then of course
Guerendo had the long
Guerendo's run. Yeah.
So they had some big plays for sure.
But I think overall,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, I think the overall why they're down in the second half, the numbers if they're down is it's been a combination of them being a little bit behind in a couple games, blowing games, getting too conservative at times, and then
taking their foot off the gas pedal with the lead, and then
struggling.
They had
this, taking the foot off the gas. I hate that. I loved how Bill Walsh used to just never let off the gas. He just run them guys up, and Kyle tends to just they don't. Blow
You're an all gas,
out.
No brakes kind of a guy.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like tonight, they're up, and I get the kickoff changed the momentum, but it's still they're not putting teams away because
they're not.
No,
that's a real problem in this game. I mean, and it's hard to get your stars off the field if you don't put people away. Let me hit a couple more of these supers. We got this one from Doug D. Says, fire the special teams coach now. It's harsh, but you know what? How many colossal screw-ups on special teams can you have in a singular season before you do make a change? I mean, I know it sounds harsh, and I'd never want to call for anybody to lose their job. Anybody who's ever lost a job knows how painful that is. But, I mean, come on, man. This is the bigs. This is you produce or there's the door. This is the NFL, not for long. Well, it's we've had the kinds of mistakes that individually get guys fired, and we've had multiples of them, and we're not even in halfway through the season. We haven't even got to the bye week yet. We've already had major special teams colossal screw ups regularly. So I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it always rears its ugly head. I mean, even last week, we block a field goal. Demo Lenore runs it back for a touchdown. The following kickoff, they give up a fat return. You're just like, oh my God, when you do something right, you do something wrong on special teams. They just cannot get it right. And I don't know, man. I'd be surprised if Brian Schneider makes it out of Seattle. It's still part of the Niners. But I mean,
leave him on the tarmac?
They leave him on the tarmac. Leave him at what's the name of the stadium? Lumen Field?
Loud Stadium Field?
Yeah, just leave him there. Just stay here and think about your life.
He was there for a lot of years. Fuji Simeon says, if we need a new kicker, can we sign that Cal kid? Yeah, the Cal's got a hell of a kicker. Cal's also got a guy who's leading the nation in picks.
Yeah, I think he was talking about the Cal kid who kicked the field goal with the Vans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On game day.
On game day.
Yeah.
With the checkered Vans. Not only he had the checkered Vans. Classic. Zachary Kelway, I love Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, but all of you, out of 100 plays, how many plays would you play Yadam over Womack? Yeah, I don't understand. We welcome in Damon Bruce. I don't understand why they, another one. They went with their free agent signing over a younger guy that they drafted. I thought last year that was a mistake, Oliver over Jameson. I think this year was a mistake going with Yadam over Womack. hopefully it doesn't burn them too bad. But yeah, Womack's playing good ball in Indy right now. We're going through some supers here, Damon. We'll get your thoughts in just a sec. Cornelio 49er says, can we fire the special teams coach like right now? It seems, I would say it's an original idea, but we've heard it before. Stephen C says, I can't believe Mike Hawk. Okay, there you go. Very nice, Stephen.
You walked right into that one. I was like, don't say it. Don't say it.
Mike Hawk. Paging white courtesy telephone, Mike Hawk. Excuse me. White courtesy telephone.
You pulled it up. I was like, don't read it. Don't read it.
Mike Hunt to the white courtesy telephone. Mike Hunt to the white courtesy telephone. Oh man, that was bad. Almost got me. Leonza Duncan. By the way, that reminds me of in high school we had intramural basketball at lunch, and they would announce it. The Rise guys play, two guys and a girl on court 4, and they would do the announcement. And so we called our team a much better team. That was the name of our team. So it'd be like, Dan Coach Emilio plays a much better team today on court number 7. We'd be like, ha ha ha! Look how funny we are! Look how creative we are.
This is the show I joined tonight. Fantastic.
What do you think, Damon? Good win for the Niners.
No. Let me give you my best. That name offends the entire room thing. I was taking calls on sports phone one night, and it was right around the Kentucky Derby. And this guy called in and he says, yeah, man, if I ever had a horse in the Kentucky Derby, I'd name it My Face. Just so you could have 30,000 people in the grandstand screaming, come on, my face, come on, my face. And that was the phone call that went out. We didn't dump that one. I'm like, do we have to dump that one?
How did Lee Hammer feel about that at the time?
Well, again, I don't work there anymore, so I don't.
Is there any cause and effect?
That could have been it. That really could have been it. Guys, first of all, good to see you. New faces, new places. It's always good to see you. And man, the 49ers, holy shit, that they needed that one. They really, really did. Special teams, I heard you guys already ripping. Yeah, I would fire tonight. I'd leave on the tarmac tonight, even with a win. The message that I'd be sending is we're all done dealing with the same mistakes week in, week out. I've never seen any coach be allowed this many mistakes week in, week out with any unit in any sport. I mean, 6 weeks in a row, if that ain't good enough, that's good enough now for the 49ers? That's a shame. They can't say it's not good enough because he remains. You have 10 days. 10 days. 10 days. Go get a new special teams coach in 10 days. Fucking call Robert Saleh. Be like, you want it? No, I don't care. I mean, dude, seriously, let go ahead and have Kenneth Walker or not Kenneth Walker. He plays for the Seahawks, but go ahead and have the new guy. What's his name? I'm losing his name right now. The kicker.
Matthew Wright.
Matthew Wright.
That's right. Get Matthew Wright in there. Get Nick Wright in there. Get fucking, I don't care who. I don't give a shit.
He's hurt. He hurt his shoulder.
He's hurt because special teams failed to make a tackle once again. I mean, good God. Good God. By the way, Len Eschman Award winner, Matthew Wright, phenomenal performance. And he met the team on Tuesday. This game was one on the ground.
The Niners win the Super Bowl, Damon. Will they vote him a ring? Will he get a ring? What happens if he dislocated his shoulder and he's done for the year and that was it? Will he and the Niners go on and win the Super Bowl in New Orleans? Does he get a ring?
Full player share. Here's your ring. You go right in the center of the team photo, as far as I'm concerned.
That would be awesome.
He made all three of his kicks. All three of them.
He scored more points for this team than Brandon Ayuk has.
It's kind of true. And Ayuk's making 30 mil.
Yeah. So of course he gets a ring. And here's the thing: Brian Schneider gets a ring too, even though I'd fire him tonight too. But you get a ring technically. But look, they won't win a Super Bowl because there'll be a special teams mistake in that game. I'm sure of it. You can plan one in every game. That's their brand. Tonight's game was won on the ground. This was the best run defense that the 49ers have shown us since whatever their last good game of run defense was last year. They held Seattle? What would Seattle get held to? Like 53 yards or 52 yards?
52 yards on 20 carries, 2.6 per carry.
Seattle's got no rushing game though. I mean, they pass the ball 73% of the time. And last week Walker got 5 carries. I was going to say to you guys that I thought the most embarrassing thing that I saw tonight was how Walker ran. I mean, I never again want to hear anybody tell me how hard Kenneth Walker runs, because I thought he tiptoed through this entire game. I didn't think there was more than a couple runs where he really ran with conviction, and there were multiple examples of him not running hard. I don't know. That's what I saw.
I mean, they made it like a point, because last week I think he was 10 yards a carry, even though he barely ran the ball at all last week versus the Lions. And then they said, like, going into this game, like, this is going to be a Kenneth Walker game. Like, we're not going to get away from the run. And then, Niners just didn't allow him to get anything going at all.
He only had 32 yards. I mean, he had no effect on in the running game. And Geno Smith threw the ball 52 times.
In the second half, Geno was good. But, guys, I'm looking at the first half stats. You know what Geno's stats were at halftime? He was 9 of 18 for 109 yards and a pick. He didn't do anything.
He was not
early
accurate.
in this game.
No, I'll tell you, I don't know if it, maybe it was Nick Sorensen. Maybe it was the right rolling coverage that made the play not appear. There was also an awful lot of Geno just didn't hit his target tonight. I mean, there really was. So at least the Niners took advantage of that. I mean, they don't have to make the other team play better, but Geno was not on his game tonight, and the 49ers took advantage of it. I'll tell you what, outside of the inability to score in the red zone, which outside of George Kittle, I don't know who on this team wants to do that. They had a totally dominant offensive game plan. I mean, in the first half alone, they had 10 first downs, 244 total yards. They were +2 in the turnover advantage, 105 yards on the ground. They dominated time of possession. I mean, it was the type of game plan that Kyle Shanahan, goes home and dreams about, except he's settling for field goals instead of touchdowns. It's amazing. If the 49ers got 97 yards in front of them, they will kick those yards ass and give you 3 points. If they have 18 yards in front of them, those yards kick their ass and they will give you 3 points. It's amazing how a team with such a good coach, with a good quarterback, with an improving offensive line, with all of these weapons, who, even if they aren't fast enough to stretch the field, should be able to operate in the small box of a red zone. It's incredible how hard they make it look week in, week out. It's really something else.
We're only going to go for about 15 more minutes. Let me just hit these last supers, and then I will go game balls around the room and bolt out of here. Danny's got a big night in Tempe. Leonza Duncan says, I still think we should have taken Braylon over 31. Hey, call him by his name. That's Isaac Guerendo. Bill M. Yes, Larry, Guerendo can catch, so throw it to him. Bill M. doubling down. He says, yes, Larry, Guerendo can catch, so throw it to him. You know what?
That's right.
Which of those is the better super chat? Is it this one, or would you say that one?
He was not having that red. He was getting that one red.
I felt like the first
number
one was,
number two, more conviction.
The second one seemed redundant. Alex Grolon says, like and subscribe, guys. Loving the Krug show. Pig in a pickle. Nice divisional win. Alex, thank you. Very kind of you. Kyle Pratt says Brendel has to be benched. Nugent can't be worse. That's Drake Nugent. I don't know about you guys, and I know Brendel, is Forrester's choice, but I don't get it. I think Brendel looks like the weak spot on a pretty
Larry. If there's going to be any
line.
changes, this will be the week it happens.
Because of Kansas City. I would think the bye week, but why do you think that?
I think it's right now. I think this 10-day window. I think this is a 10-day window, and if you got a two guys who are close to battling for the same spot, this is the week you make the change.
Yeah, I hear you. Harry Johnson, yes. Campbell is the linebacker version of Chase Young, zero effort. He's the guy in a group project that doesn't do anything but shares the credit.
Jog Young.
By the way, did you guys see? I tweeted out Jog Young. I called him Jog.
That's great.
Did you see his Cadillacing in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs the other night?
Classic.
I mean, it was NFC title game vintage. It was like, you know what? That's the Chase Young I remember in the NFC Championship game. He's lost his desire to play the game hard. I mean, it's amazing.
He's paid.
Yeah, I mean, he is shutting it down. Juan Mendoza said 100% Campbell needs to get pulled more rookies. Yeah, go with the youth. I mean, it's like the Giants didn't go with the youth, and it burned them. They finished sub 500. Farhan got fired. Go with the youth, especially if your young players can play. I mean, I think the greatest part about tonight's game is that John Lynch and the personnel department guys get on that plane and go, damn right, give us a little respect. Jair Brown played well. Renardo Green played well. Sam Okawanu played well. D. Winters at times looked good. Mustafa looked like a ton. Luter looked good. I mean, they had Bethune got a fumble recovery. I mean, they had a lot of their young guys step up. Obviously, Dom Pooney, he's playing at a really high level. But yeah, I mean, those guys are really the young guys. To me, that's the brightest spot of the whole thing. Is the young guys are coming of age. Fuji Simeon, the real money action is whether Swift shows up in a Kristen Huschek design jacket. Oh my God, I'm gonna puke. Ray Band says death, tax, and shitty Niner special teams. Death, taxes, and shitty. The three constants in life. Fuji Simeon, Colin is a politician as he cherry picks stats and facts that suit his agenda. Thank you. I probably should have gotten to that a while ago. J Figs Ramon says sloppy but good win. Nice to see Kittle grind out end zone touchdowns. Purdy looked like tears of joy when Guerendo went for the long run. He did seem very happy with the Guerendo run. Leonza Duncan, Nick Wright is worse. He just wants to rip on Brock. Cornelio 49ers, can you please talk about please. What does it say?
OBJ?
OBJ. No, it's an icon or something. You just can't see it on StreamYard.
I see OBJ, but I don't know what that means.
Cornelio, you're going to have to give us another super and actually spell it out for us because we can't read it.
All right, big boy, spell your words out.
Liam Brody says if the kicker's injured, should check out Dan Gleesack.
I think he meant me.
I think he meant Dan Cochimilio.
I think he meant me.
Dan thinks he could be the replacement kicker.
Yeah, he's on deck. He's on
Danny,
deck.
how old are you?
63.
63. How awesome would it be if on like Wednesday Sports Center, the 49ers have signed Dan Cochimilio out of an Arizona tryout camp. He was seen, video was sent through the HOA.
And Dan gets put in the situation where he has to go make a tackle and his entire body shatters.
That's the big question.
That would, yeah.
And he just steps up and sticks somebody. Patrick Mahomes out for the year because the Niners kicker, Dan Cochimilio. Did you guys hear? It would be like the talk of everything. Did you hear about the 63-year-old kicker that took out Mahomes? Dude, that's awesome. I love that guy. His name's like Dan Cochimiglio or something. Yeah. You'd have all these producers. Hey, excuse me, Dan, thank you. Thank you for joining Dan Patrick today. We appreciate it. You'll be on in just a second. Hold on. It'd be great. All right,
Dan, would you make that tackle if you were the kicker and you were the only guy to stop him? Would you make that tackle or would you let him go by?
Today or 40 years ago?
Today.
Tonight. No way.
Or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Same answer. No way. Batman
award
Batman
winner Dan Cochimilio.
Batman 29 outside zone run. Crack toss plays seem to work. Andre Hanna, it was nice to see the young blood come in and perform well tonight. Mustafa, Green, and Guerendo. Yeah, that was the theme, and that was a great theme. Damon, what was your primary takeaway from this one? Obviously, it was a good win for the Niners.
Game
ball. I heard Steve Young say that if they get a blowout win, it will kind of reset their season because they really need to kind of show themselves that they have it in them. Would you consider this a blowout win? It was a pretty big win on the road. Could have been a blowout if the calls went their way.
I mean, I think you and I both agreed this week during a wake up that there was no beauty pageant or swimsuit portion of this competition. It didn't really matter about looking good. This was a forget fashion. This is function. Get the win. You cannot go into the Kansas City game at 2-4. That's the kiss of death because you're going to lose to Kansas City. Okay, you're gonna until you don't.
Are you guaranteeing a loss?
I'm not guaranteeing a loss, but until I see it, I don't want to hear anyone guarantee a fucking win. I'll tell you that right now.
They are taking down the Chiefs.
I guarantee they're going to win.
Guess what the spread is?
What? Yeah. Oh, wait, let's guess the spread. Do you know? Has anybody seen it? I haven't seen it.
Me, Dan, and Rye know the spread.
Okay, so Danny knows it. Rye knows it. I'll say Niners are at home, but the Chiefs are better. I'll say
Off a bye.
Chiefs -4.
I was going to say -4.5.
Nicotina.
I heard you guys say it earlier, so I don't want to say it.
It's Niners -1 to 1.5.
All right.
Will the Niners
fired
be favored at
Damon
kickoff?
I mean,
No, I don't think they will.
I don't want to
Will
hear
they be
nothing.
favored?
I don't want to hear nothing about beating Andy Reid or anyone beating Patrick Mahomes until they do it. This organization, from top to its bottom, is 0 for however many attempts they've had at the Kansas City Chiefs. 0 for.
And Kyle's never beaten Spagnuolo.
That's what an 0 for means. It's
Yeah,
0
but
for.
Spagnuolo too. But,
Yeah.
but Spagnuolo in other places.
Right. And that's what I said. Any element of the franchise has not beaten any element of that franchise.
Listen to the teacher when you're in the class.
I thought he just meant the
Definitely
Chiefs.
not making that tackle if you're not paying attention to details, Danny.
I thought you just meant the Chiefs. Sorry about that.
No. So look, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. Go and beat the Chiefs. That'd be fantastic. But I'm not picking them, and I'm not saying it, and I don't want to hear a word from anyone who does until it actually happens.
I'll say this though. I kind of have the feeling that the Niners, well, obviously they're beyond due, but also I get the feeling that the Kansas City Chiefs really don't respect the Niners. Now I know people would say, "Oh, you're just making that up," but I just feel like the Kansas City Chiefs feel like they own the Niners at this point. And one of these times they're going to roll in. They're going to roll into a Niner game flat. Now, I know that seems
I think it's this year. This year, I think they're going to roll in flat. They're going to do what the Niners have done to both the Rams and the Cardinals. They're going to come in and just go anemic. I mean, look, first half of all the games, the Niners were very, very competitive. Second half, it's a little different, but I think they got a shot. I really do.
Two more supers here. DeBig says Guerendo would be a better tight end than a running back.
Andy Reid's 28-3 against coming off a bye. Just by the way,
I think it's
12-1 with Mahomes.
It's about to be 28-4.
Yeah.
Look at that. Harry Matthews. What is he paying us there, Kev? What's an A $5?
I think it's
an Aussie, maybe
it might be an Aussie.
He says, are the 49ers going to give Rock Ya-Sin a run? He looked solid in the preseason. Didn't he play tonight? Thought he played tonight. I'm pretty sure Rock Ya-Sin did play.
They were all hands on deck in it tonight with that secondary after Mustafa went out, right? So
yeah. Oh, how good's Mustafa, by the way? Bill M says if we get a goddamn holding call.
Mustafa hit Kenneth Walker III so hard he became Kenneth Walker II there for a little bit. Like he knocked the freaking number off the back of his. He smoked them, absolutely smoked them, and it was a woo hit.
All right, we'll go around the room. I want two names from you guys. Give me your game ball and the young 49er who you're most excited about. Game ball for the game tonight, the young 49er, and you define young. We won't fight about it. Young 49er that you're most excited about and who gets your game ball. We'll start with Dan Cochimilio, the field goal kicker.
All right. I'll start with the guy I'm most excited about is Renardo Green. I like his coverage skills. I like his mojo. He's got the attitude to be a lockdown corner. I like the fact that when he was playing tonight and he shut a couple of guys down, he was in their face and just get right back up there. So I like Green. I like his speed. I like his instincts. So I think he's going to be their number one corner within a year. I think when Mooney Ward's gone after this year, if he's gone, I think Green becomes that guy. As far as game ball tonight, I'm going to give it to Bosa. Just 14 pressures. He was relentless. He didn't get the sack, but he caused a lot of havoc for Geno Smith tonight.
Rye, who do you got? Who gets your game ball? Who's the young Niner that you're most impressed by?
Young Niner. I'm just gonna roll with Pooney. I'm pretty sure Pooney was like the big block that sprung the Guerendo run. He also had a huge block.
I didn't even know that. Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
he also had a
realize that.
huge block to spring Mason earlier in the game when Mason had that one that was like 35 yards where he was looking like Marshawn Lynch at the beginning of the game, just refusing to go down. So yeah, it's got to be Pooney for me. I mean, it's just, hey, I'll tell you, if there's one thing that's different about the line this year versus the Chiefs interior D line it murks the interior line of the Niners, but having Pooney, it certainly helps. And then game ball, I'm going to be missionary style and go Brock Purdy. Thought Brock was awesome. Those touchdowns. I mean,
we got Kev in the room, and he really had to go to the missionary style.
Missionary style.
What does that have to do with me?
I mean, we got Nicolina's here, Nicotina's here, and Nicotina. I mean, he could be a younger man. I mean, it's Dan's here, and Dan is definitely not a younger man. I mean,
he's seen it all. He has
seen it all. But even Dan's starting to blush under that hat. I can see the red top of his head starting to peek through. Go ahead, Rye. Do you have any more filth that you can share with us?
Yeah, I thought Purdy was awesome, especially, not to brag, but I had it on the all 22 option on Prime Vision. So
I didn't know there was an option like that.
Oh yeah, it's a game changer. And then there's this nerd that pops in every once in a while and gives like really good factoids. So I'll say one thing that I'll start with the third down, the 2 touchdowns to Kittle. Both of those were on third down. That first one was really into a tight window. That was an absolute dot that Brock threw.
Yeah.
And especially with just the red zone woes, the pressure of everything, just figuring that out on third down was huge. I mean, the play to Debo, I still don't really know, was that a sweet throw? I'm not sure, but it worked out, so I'll give Brock props on that. And then also one thing that was really beneficial about the all 22 view is sometimes Brock's dropping back and he's kind of doing his Russell Wilson impression and rolling and buying time. But when you're watching the regular broadcast, it's is he not playing on time here? Is he kind of just running around just to run around to try and make a play? Watching on the all 22, he was every single time he rolled out, there was purpose to it. There was nobody open. He was just buying time, and he had a few sweet runs where he was just barely evading tackles and getting first downs. I saw someone in the chat said Brock's rushing yards over is now 6 for 6 this year. So
Kevin and I've been playing the Brock over and better because it's 6.5 yards every week, and you're he's going to have. I mean, I think it might have been 8 or something. Do you remember what it was this week, Kevin?
12 and a half. 12 and a half.
12 and a half. I mean, that's.
Do they still count sacks as negative yards on the quarterback, rushing yards?
I'm not 100%
sure. They used to years ago.
But kneel downs count as negative yards.
They do in college.
Yeah.
When did they count that as negative yards? I don't even remember that.
Years ago, if a quarterback got sacked, and because if he's running around back there and he takes a 20-yard loss, it was on him.
Well, yeah, if he runs and gets tackled or sacked in the backfield, then that's negative yards.
But how do you differentiate? I mean,
if he's in the pocket, maybe.
Yeah.
So Rye, you got your game ball goes to who again?
Brock,
and your young Niner is
Pooney.
Missionary.
Yeah. Damon,
Nani.
Who are your 2 guys?
Game ball only because I was hard on him all week. Debo Samuel, he made the play that the Niners needed when he made that play. It's the first time he's really been on it in the last couple of weeks. He didn't have a monsterly productive game, but boy, he made the big play when they needed it. Game ball to Debo, who actually I think doubled his production in the run game too, in terms of just average. He had been, under 3. He's over 3 yards. It's still not great, but it's good. And just to really go left to center, because there's so much missionary on here.
Hey now.
My young Niner that I'm excited about is Brock Purdy. He's only 24 years old. He'll turn 25 2 days after Christmas. That guy plays football way over his experience level for just a 24-year-old kid. If he stays healthy, I really believe the 49ers have a quarterback that can win them games for 8 years to a decade. He is good. He's really good when he doesn't make a mistake. He gets some complimentary football played around him, and he gets a little time. That guy can hurt you. So that's it. I know that we're going to be on tomorrow. I probably gave away too much. We'll be giving away our game lobster roll tomorrow. JD just comes on in. Good to see you, JD. Nicotina, you're a name that I know on Twitter for years now, so it's nice to meet you. Rye, You got that guy fucks written all over you, dude. There's no doubt about it. Kevin, thank you. Dan, MVP of every show he's ever been on. And Larry Krueger, thanks as always. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. And like
MVP
that,
stands for most valuable punter.
and like that, he was gone. One more super Andre Hanna. Larry, can you ask Kyle why Campbell and Bell are still on the team? They need to get more young blood into the lineup, Pearsall and Graham, etc. That would be a good question. It might be viewed as argumentative, but I may ask that. Valen says if Pearsall can play and Mustafa can avoid the injury bug, this might be the best draft of the Lynch era with Pearsall, Green, Pooney, and Mustafa. Seriously, It's been a good draft. Cornelio 49ers says, can we say the special team sucks and he needs to be fired? Special teams coach. Can we say the special team sucks and he needs to be fired? He said it twice.
He said
there you go. Cornelio. Thank you, Cornelio. We welcome in the great JD from KMBR fame. JD, we were just going around the room. Nicotina is about to go, and then you can go next. We're asking for two names. Who gets your game ball, and which young 49er impressed you the most today, since that was kind of the theme. Think about that. Chew on that for a second. We'll go to Nicotina, and we'll go to you next. Nicotina, who are you going with?
Game ball. I'm going with Matthew Wright. He sacrificed his mind and body to stop that return, and he hit all three of his kicks. I mean, he nailed it. Unfortunately, he may not be on the team after tonight, but it depends on his health. But I'm going with Matthew Wright. And then as for the young player that I'm really excited about is Renardo Green. I mean, he had the huge interception that changed the game. If he hadn't got that interception and they drove down and scored, it would have been Cardinals and Rams all over again. But no, he got the interception, and that altered the course of the game. So he's the guy I'm most excited to see out there is Renardo Green.
JD, who gets your game ball? Who's the young Niner that you're leaving this game going, wow, how about that guy? How about his future?
Yeah, my game ball is going to go to Brock Purdy for this one. The 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and I thought the plays that he made, in particular with his legs early in the game, were huge. And maybe he's being asked to Dan. You got an issue? Is there
I saw
an issue, Dan?
the chat, the super chat, the super chat that just came in.
Oh,
Brutal.
okay.
You'll see it.
All right. Anyway, Brock Purdy's the
Dan
guy.
has a hard time focusing in school. I'll mute him if you'd like, JD. Would you like me to mute Dan?
No. I owe Dan.
Make you more comfortable. Should I kick Dan out? I could kick Dan out. Would you feel comfortable if I kicked him out?
It's up to you, brother. It's up to you. I'm not advocating for it. It's all good.
I mean, JD is kind of one of the cooler kids in school, and Dan isn't one of the cooler kids. Dan, we'll see you next week. No, I'm not. I'm just joking, Dan. I'm just joking. Come on. Dan's an OG on the show. Go ahead, JD. Dan, if you talk again, I'll mute you.
Yeah, sorry, Dan. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I just look. All of a sudden, I've got Dan, and I'm like, and I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry, JD. Somebody put a crazy super chat in, and I.
Oh, here we go. So it's always sexual in nature. Lucas Shea Houston. Missionary is all the young men know. Wait until they learn the shotgun, hike one leg, up long snap. All right, there you go. Thank you. Thank you, I think, Lucas. Thank you. Back to JD. JD, it's a rough transition.
No, so Brock Purdy, for the steadiness with his legs, I thought early, although maybe he's running around a little too much still, but he picks up first downs when needed. He keeps the defense off balance. I thought there were times where Seattle really could have got to him. He moves, he gets to a spot, he looks to throw. Again, maybe he's doing a little bit too much, and it could either lead him to a position where he takes a hit that he doesn't want to take, or it can lead to maybe some mistakes that this 49ers team can't afford. But leading them down, guiding them through some of the red zone issues. I thought the throw to Kittle was just an absolute dart. And I don't know. I just think he was the leader to me offensively tonight in this one for the 49ers. Held his composure
early when things were getting a little rough early. Had to run a couple times. It was tough early in this game. And
the crowd was into it. Obviously, being up here in Seattle, and the crowd was really getting into it as it looked like the Niners were going to collapse again and maybe lose the lead before Renardo Green had the interception. So Purdy's my pick for game ball, And then the young player, I'll go with Mustafa. And Larry, I know we talked a couple of days ago, or heck, I guess it was last night. We talked about, Mustafa's nose for the ball. Like I just think he has a nose for the football. And while he is still learning to play, pass defense, I think he's somebody who he's just a quality football player. I think the more opportunity he gets, he's just going to continue to get better and better, and his instincts are good. And I just think at a very young age, he's kind of got the total package of what you want somebody to have mentally. And so I think that was on display. I think, there are still some mistakes and learning where to be when and all of that, like that any young player goes through. But I think his poise and his just headiness and nose for the ball allows him to be on the field right now and help this team right now while he figures out the rest of it. So I'd give a nod to Renardo Green. Huge interception, but I think Mustafa's the guy who is going to be, as long as he's healthy, I think the guy among these young players that are going to get the most run on a game in, game out basis. So I'd roll with him.
Kev, you didn't go, huh? You give me who you got. Who's your game ball and who's your young Niner that you're impressed by?
Well, I'm pissed off right now because both of mine JD just stole, and I don't have enough time to switch them up. But so I'm going to stick with
That's
them.
okay. You can go.
My game.
You don't have to switch them up. You can double down.
My game ball is going to Brock Purdy. Just played incredible tonight. 3 touchdowns, 129.3 passer rating. It's second best passer rating in a game for him this season. 13th best from any quarterback this season. Also, just the fact that Mason goes down early in this game, and Brock Purdy is kind of put into these pass situations, and he still excelled. If you're looking at Niners running backs outside of Jordan Mason, and if you exclude that Isaac Guerendo run towards the end of the game, and kind of like that if you exclude that run, Niners running backs were averaging 3.16 yards a carry. So they weren't running the ball efficiently, and they still were able to drive and score 2 passing touchdowns in the second half from Purdy. So I'll give the game ball to Purdy on that one. But for my player, I'll go Malik Mustafa. There's a lot of questions about whether or not he could cover, and I think he showed in the first drive he can cover, and he got that interception. He also got some pass deflections, and in his short amount of snaps, I thought he played really well, and I'm really excited for him.
Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully, any report on him, JD? Ankle?
It's an ankle, but is there an update, JD?
No, it's an ankle, and obviously he didn't come back, but I did get a chance to talk to him after, and it doesn't seem like it's too serious, but it was serious enough, obviously, for him to not finish the game. But he was moving around. Let me tell you, he had the football in his hand for 2 separate. He was not letting go of the football. He had that football like he was going to take a carry over right tackle and just hanging on to it in the locker room. And I asked him if he had any special plans for it. He said he hadn't really figured out exactly yet. He might have to get like one of those rotating boxes that light up or something, display, put it on display. But he was just hanging on to that first career interception football like it was the greatest gift in the world. It was kind of a cool moment in the locker room post game.
That's awesome.
By the way,
hopefully it's a low ankle and not a Freddie Freeman high ankle.
No, it's a low ankle, they're saying.
Good.
Brock Purdy, by the way, guys, tonight made his 8th career game with 3 touchdown passes and 0 picks. It's the most in the NFL since he entered the league in 2022. Josh Allen and Jared Goff have 6 each. Purdy's got 8. So it puts his game in perspective. I could easily go with Purdy because he was spectacular early. But you know what? If you watch me enough or listen to me enough, I have different categories of players. To me, there's like good and there's great. There's Pro Bowl. And then there's a little bit better, and there's what I call tone-setting players. And to me, especially in football, the tone-setting players are the guys that in the biggest games make an impact. They set a tone. They're not just on the team, and they're not just one of the guys on the team. They lead, and to me, making a play in the fourth quarter when you're up 45-14 is not the same as making a play when the game is just underway and you're trying to set a tone. So I was also really critical of Deebo Samuel this week. I said he was slow. I said he was maybe had played his best football, that he was, close to the end. And he comes out and he set the tone, man. That touchdown that he had was the first touchdown of the game. It put the Niners up 10-0.
Right.
He's a tone-setting player. He is a tone. It's more than just he stands next to the boombox on the way out. He set the tone in Philly last year. He set the tone in this game. He stepped up more than Kittle, more than Ayuk, more than JJ, more than any of those other veteran receivers. And he took the lead, and he took a pounding. I guarantee you he is going to be on the injury report this week because he took so many big time hits. He's got to have something. He's got to have something. So he gets my game ball because that guy showed he is a man. I mean, he came out 5 targets, caught 3 balls, 102 yards, and the touchdown. He also carried the ball 4 times for 15 yards, a very hard charging 3.8 a carry. Took some big hits. He had blood on his uniform pants. He left it out there, man. He was a tone setter. He gets my game ball. As far as the young guy that I'm most excited about, man, there's a lot of them here, but I'm going to go with Malik Mustafa. I mean, he is like a shiny object. Like when you go into the locker room and you talk to him, he's just got such confidence, such football intellect. He's a great young prospect. He's absolutely bursting with confidence and ability. He's smart. He's physical. He's a tone setter. He's another guy. I mean, I go back to my notes in this game. Deebo had that first touchdown, but if you go back to the beginning of this game, I think Mustafa had one of the tone-setting hits. Yeah, Mustafa had on the 2nd and 10 on Seattle's second drive, 2nd and 10 run from Kenneth Walker, and Mustafa stepped up and smacked him in the mouth. I mean, it was one of the biggest hits. And then on the next, he got the pick. That was absolutely a huge play in the game that was one of the biggest plays of the game. So I think Mustafa is a coverage player, as Kev said, and he would get he's the young guy on the team that I'm like, wow. I mean, I don't know there's any way he's not going to be really, really good. All right, couple last supers, and then we're out. We got this one. We got that one. We read that one. Okay, we haven't read this one. Jonathan Lindley, what chance do you give the Niners of trading in the draft for a wide receiver? Or is that question what I think it is? Trading a wide receiver during the draft? I mean, they've got all the wide receivers they need right now. They could use more speed, but I think they're okay. Maitland says, JD's head is blinding. I got your back, Dan. All right, easy there. Cody Besovich says, or Besovec says, why is no one asking Kyle why Campbell is starting? Did Campbell at all come up in the post game, or did people just stay away?
Yeah, I think that's going to wind up being probably more of a like Monday, kind of a question coming off of the win. I know Larry, we've disagreed on this a little bit. I just don't think that they have a young player that they fully trust to take the spot. And look, but Campbell, I think, is so bad at this point. I mean, teams go after him. I mean, it's 59, it's 22, and it's 30. Really, I was making the note when Odom's out there, they go after Odom, obviously, because he's known predominantly for being a special teams guy and not being a safety, especially in the coverage game. But 59 is the one that, like, when he's out there and teams can get a matchup that they like, they just attack, and it happened a couple of more times in the game tonight. So, but I still think there's just a, Winters in particular right now, obviously with Flanagan Fowles out, they just don't totally trust Winters to be disciplined, even though he flies around and has the physical tools. I think at a greater scope than Campbell does.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. I guess the only question I would have for you guys on the way out the door is, you get, for those of us who cover the Niners, we get a free Sunday. And, what's the game this weekend? If you could watch one more game in week 6, What game do you want to watch? Here are the options. Jags at Bears and from London. Cardinals at Pack. Colts at Titans. Texans at Pats. Bucks at Saints. Browns at Eagles. Commanders at Ravens. Chargers at Broncos. Steelers at Raiders. That's a great helmet game. Lions at Cowboys. Falcons at Panthers. Bengals at the G-Men. Bills Jets with the new head coach Monday night.
I'm taking the Maryland. I'm taking the Maryland connection there. That's the game I would
want to see. Ravens. You want to see
I want to see Daniels against that Baltimore
Commanders
D
against the Ravens in Baltimore.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement that that's the game?
I like Lions Cowboys.
Lions Cowboys is the one I would watch.
I'd go. Yeah, I'm with you guys.
And that's the NFC game.
Yeah, I got a question for you. What
You're muted,
do
Brian.
the Niners do if Mason is not able to go? Do they bring up Keyshawn Vaughn, or do they go out and sign somebody like a Matt Breida?
Was there any comment on that in the postgame? Katie?
Yeah, well, I think Guerendo earned a little bit of trust. I thought with the run late, but I think they would probably end up going with Patrick Taylor, who got a couple of carries in the game tonight as well. They would have to sign somebody.
Who would come up though? Yeah, who would come up to be the second or third back?
I think it it would be Vaughn. I think it would be Vaughn, and then they would sign somebody else for Vaughn's spot on the practice squad. So, or they would elevate Vaughn. Obviously, they wouldn't have to put Vaughn on the roster because he hasn't been elevated yet. Right. So you can elevate a player 3 times before they have to be put on the active roster for the remainder of the season. So I would imagine, Vaughn would get the next man up, and then they would sign somebody else as insurance if they have to sign Vaughn for the rest of the year, or if Vaughn, were to perform, you just need to have if one guy goes down, you have to have another guy, and everybody moves up, and you have somebody else at the end.
Is Breida would Breida be that guy, or are they down on Breida?
Hey, I think Breida would get some consideration, but I think there's always somebody kind of under the radar. I think that the Niners are keeping an eye on in terms of
maybe somebody off another practice squad. They yank him.
Could be somebody off another practice squad. There could be another vet that maybe Kyle likes that thinks would potentially fit the scheme. But I think at this point, I think the biggest, if Mason is, banged up to the point where it's trouble moving forward as far as his availability, I do think Guerendo tonight, they had to play him a little bit. And I think he might have earned a little bit of trust tonight, which is a good thing moving forward, considering how banged up they are. Although the news before the game was good on Christian McCaffrey, not that he's going to be back in the next 2 weeks or anything like that. But it does seem like there's a little bit more optimism that McCaffrey is, in fact, going to be able to come back at some point here.
The thing with Guerendo, I think that where he earned the trust tonight is not the long run, even though that obviously was the highlight. It was how many times guys went after the football. Once you put a ball on the carpet, I mean, it's like sharks in the water, man. Every hand is coming for that ball. Every punch is coming for that ball. You have to hold on to it. I've talked to running backs about this. It's like once you put a fumble or two on the film, man, you got to hold that ball with your life because they're coming for it. And in this game, man, he took so many hits right on the football, and he didn't cough it up. He held on to it tightly. To me, if he earned respect tonight, it was for that. He showed that you can trust him. He's not going to cough it up at first contact. And I was starting to wonder because we've seen him cough it up, as I said, with first contact. That's going to do it for us tonight. Antonio Baker says 59-22 or barbecue chicken. All right, I don't know about that, but we'll see what adjustments they make. That's going to do it for us. JD, when do we see you or hear you next on the leader? Are you back tomorrow?
I am back. I'm trying to think what day. I'm back on a flight tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, what day is this? I'm back tomorrow early, and then I'm going to be over at the Warriors tomorrow night. The Warriors are playing the Kings in San Francisco. Right. So I'm going to be over there covering the game. We'll have a little podcast action after the game as well. And then I'm going to try to enjoy Saturday and Monday off. The Warriors are also playing Sunday. I don't know why. I haven't decided if I'm probably going to make an appearance over there after watching football from 6:30 in the morning, because we've got one of those London games coming up watch at 6:30 in the morning here. But yeah, looking forward to getting back out at the Warriors. Was in Sacramento last night, up here in Seattle tonight, in San Francisco tomorrow. And yeah, just looking forward to continuing
to live out of a suitcase,
continuing to be second night this week. Second night this week. I actually slept without a bed.
Oh man,
really?
Yeah. Well, I was on the plane. I was on the red eye back from Hawaii to get to the Niner game on Sunday. So that was one sleeping on the plane, and then the other one I was in Sacramento after the game, and actually went out and I had a couple of drinks with a buddy of mine and ended up crashing on his couch, and then going to the airport this morning to get up here to Seattle. Our buddy Sean Cunningham, Larry. Nice. We went and had a couple, and all of a sudden 5 a.m. came quick.
I saw Cunningham asking DeRozan, so what was it like getting the applause up here? It's like, God, man, they're gripping. They're up. I mean, they love DeRozan. He's a great pro. It was a great trade for them to get him. He's happy to be there, which makes those people really, really excited. I hope DeRozan has an exciting year. I'd love to see Warriors and Kings battle at the end in the first round of the playoffs. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it. JD, we'll let you go, brother. Have a great one. Thanks for jumping in with us.
Thanks, fellas.
See you, JD.
There you go, the great John Dickinson. Nicotina, we'll say goodbye to you next. We'll dump you off right here. Tell people that I know you're on YouTube and you do your own streaming. Tell people where they can find you, when they can find you, and how they can find you.
You can find me at Your Area Sports. I'm actually going to be live right after I leave here. I'm going to go live on my channel and talk about this game with my panel. So just go to YouTube, Your Area Sports, subscribe. I go live at least 3 to 4 times a week, if not more. As much as I can without my wife trying to kill me. I go live as much as possible, covering Niners basically. But Larry, dude, thank you so much for having me on here. This was a pleasure. A lot of fun.
Hey, Nicotina, and everybody go join over to Nicotina's panel. Tonight he has Tom Brady, Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, and Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. So that's going to be a hell of a show over there.
Bill Belichick might stop by.
Belichick might, depends. But he's got a hot date with a young lady. All right, take it easy, Nicotina. We'll talk to you soon. There you go. And like that, there was 4. And I was joking about that panel. That's not what Nicotina's got. Danny, we appreciate you. Tell people where they can find you if they need to collect money.
Yeah. NorCal Sports Network. We are on pretty much every night doing something. Tomorrow night we'll cover the post-game Dodgers Padres game 5, and we'll do a quick one on that, and then we'll after the Warriors game, finish up with the Kings. We'll do a little bit of post-game coverage on the Warriors Kings. I like what the Warriors are doing this year. I like they're taking a lot of threes and they're playing better defense. Yeah, but their goal this year is to maybe lead the league in threes. I don't know if they'll do it, but they'll be in the top 3 or 4. They're going to be gunning them. They're going to be shooting them up this year.
All right, Danny, good stuff, man. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you.
Guys.
Have a great night. The great Dan Coach Emilio. Rye, people can follow you on X, Life in SoCal. We're going to catch you in the post game after the Chief game.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I don't have anything to promote. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like. Oh, you can really get a good look at my eyes. It's pretty messed up. Can you see that?
What happened?
It's slightly like a Disney villain. It's just stupid. I had a buddy just like toss me a water bottle overhand, like football style, he was like, yo, you want a water? And I was like, sure, I'll take a water. And, I went back to being on my phone, and then the thing just comes rifling in, just nailed me right in the eyeball.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild. But
hey, Rye, be careful from those water bottles. We'll see you after the Chief game.
All right. See you guys.
There you go. The great Rye Smith. And then there was 2. Kev, good show. Good day. Niners got a nice win. All is right. You got the fan going. You got a gigantic microphone. You got a final thought?
It's Brocktober. Get some Brocktober merch. thekrugshow.com. Shameless plug. Follow me on Twitter. I'm putting out stats. I'm trying to be quiet here because I'm talking in this house and it's a lot of people sleeping in here.
It's
So
11 o'clock.
Yeah, that's all. I'm gonna make some social media stuff. Check us out on social media, the Krug Show, all that stuff.
Hey, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Really appreciate all you guys. We always have fun doing these post games.
We have hoodies. We do have
hoodies. Yes, y'all need hoodies. We've got hoodies. It's funny you think we don't. We got hoodies for days. Join me tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Damon. We'll have our wake up tomorrow morning, and I'll have a chance to watch the film tonight and give you some fresh opinions on the game. But that does it for us. For Kev, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly what you asked for.